Chapter 301, Proud Self-Esteem. Sasuke's decision was not unexpected by Chen. He knew Sasuke very well and was familiar with Sasuke's personality. He was very resistant to the matter of transplanting Itachi's eyes, and he accepted Itachi's eyes for a while. Unable to adapt or even resist, in order for Sasuke to accept it, Chen could only use Sasuke's pursuit of strength and his arrogant self-esteem. When he was in the Iron Country, Chen let Sasuke do it alone and didn't stop him from using the kaleidoscope. It was also for this purpose that he wanted Sasuke to feel the pressure from the powerhouses in the villages, and at the same time to make Sasuke realize the importance of kaleidoscope to him. Unexpectedly, under the oppression of the Four Shadows, Sasuke broke through the limit of the writing wheel, and only relying on the state of the ordinary kaleidoscope was able to display the semi-complete Susanoo, although it was because the power brought out by the extreme anger is only a short-lived. But this really surprised Chen, and he couldn't help but secretly sigh that he is indeed the second pillar with the protagonist halo. But after thinking about it, it has already been said in the original work that Sasuke itself is the reincarnation of Indra, and the chakra with Indra has not been stimulated, but under that kind of oppression and anger, he is unaware it is not impossible to stimulate a little hidden power under the circumstance, but Sasuke's eyes have not evolved to the eternal kaleidoscope. Unable to control this power, unable to withstand the impact of this power and cause the power to go out of control, so he can't. Maintaining the state of the kaleidoscope, he eventually passed out of a coma. Although it was only a short moment, it disappeared quickly, but Sasuke also truly grasped that power at that moment, and that power left a deep impression on Sasuke, which made him yearn even more to regain the power that gave him a burst of self-confidence. And just now Chen deliberately mentioned Naruto, and informed Sasuke that Naruto was practicing immortality, and also asserted that Naruto's strength may have surpassed Sasuke, which is undoubtedly a blow to Sasuke's arrogant self-esteem. For a long time, although Sasuke has cut off the bond he once had in Konoha on the surface, he has shown indifference to the people of the original 7th class and is like a stranger, but in the depths of Sasuke's heart, he still retains some thoughts and still regards Naruto as an opponent. In the original work, both Sasuke and Naruto are important existences. Sasuke is cold on the surface, but he has always cared about Naruto in his heart. Not only is Naruto his teammate and opponent, but he also has a very special feeling. And Naruto is more persistent towards Sasuke. The two of them have been playing the game of chasing and chasing each other, and their footprints have traveled all over the world. When confronting Zabujan and Shiro, Naruto thought that Sasuke was dead, and he went mad in an instant, and he never saw him go mad for others, such as for Sakura. After Sasuke became a traitor, Naruto would rather be beaten into a bun face by people from Union Village than spit out information about Sasuke. For his sake, he would kneel to Raikage. Although he knew that Sasuke was full of darkness, Naruto never stopped. Did not give up. And Sasuke couldn't bear to kill Naruto many times. Just like Uchiha Itachi to Sasuke, Sasuke let him go whenever he could kill Naruto. The bond between these two people makes people feel disturbed when they see it. It is simply a typical example of love and murder. Anyone can do it, only he can't. Sasuke's eyes showed determination at this time. He knew that Naruto had never given up the idea of bringing him back to Konoha, and he would find him again sooner or later. In the past, he would only sneer with disdain, but now that he knew that Naruto's strength may have surpassed him, now he naturally couldn't hold back his breath. In any case, the last person he wanted to lose was his former partner Naruto Uzumaki, and he would never allow Naruto to surpass him. Out of the desire for strength, coupled with the blow after being surpassed by Naruto, Sasuke is determined to accept Itachi's eyes, and this is also Tatsu's purpose. Finally figured it out. It's not in vain for me to spend so much time, haha tilde tilde. Chen smiled inwardly, but he didn't understand the sound on the surface, looked at Sasuke with a determined expression and asked, "Have you made up your mind?" "HMPH, tell me, when will it be completed?" Sasuke snorted coldly, disdainfully answering Chen's nonsense, and asked back. Chen replied indifferently, "The timing is just right, it can be any time." Then give me a transplant now. Hearing Sasuke's request, Chen was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Sasuke to be so urgent, so he couldn't help but say, "So urgent. Your body has just recovered. I'm going to have a transplant now." Chen's words were interrupted by Sasuke before he could speak. He didn't say any more, but frowned slightly, looking at Sasuke with a determined face, while Sasuke looked at Chen firmly, declaring his determination. Looking at the stubborn Sasuke, Chen knew that Sasuke had made up his mind. It was useless for him to say anything, so let him be. Thinking of this, Chen didn't say anything, but said helplessly, "Okay, come with me." He threw a word at Sasuke and signaled him to follow. Chen then turned around and walked out of the room, but after Chen's signal, Sasuke stood up and walked out of the room, and followed behind Chen without saying a word. Chen walked in front and said without looking back, "I'll take you to see someone now, and he will meet your requirements, and he will transplant you." Huh. Sasuke frowned when he heard the words. He originally thought it was Chen who helped him with the transplant, but he didn't expect it was someone else. However, Sasuke thought it was strange, but he was not the kind of person who talked a lot, and because of his trust in Chen, coupled with his eagerness to gain power, he knew that Chen would not harm him, so he didn't ask any more questions and followed closely. Zuchin walked to a certain place behind him. The person Chen is looking for is naturally Obito, because he is not good at transplanting shackles, so it would be better to let Obito transplant for Sasuke, and this condition was also negotiated with Obito before. Obito said, "I believe he is ready, just wait for Chen to persuade Sasuke to transplant." The two walked unhurriedly, and soon came to Obito's location. Chapter 302, Preparation. Chen brought Sasuke to Obito and explained his intentions. Sasuke had met with Obito several times before, and he also knew Obito's identity from Chen. He was no stranger to Obito, although he felt disgusted with this. Humans, but in order to transplant Itachi's eyes, he could only hold back the displeasure in his heart. After handing Sasuke to Obito, the next thing is much simpler. For transplanting, Obito is definitely better than him, and he also transplanted Sasuke in the original work, so there will be no accident. And after that, Chen also left. After all, the coalition forces of the 5 major countries have assembled, and he has to make some moves. Chen first found Shueyu and Changwu, and then took them back to Yin'an village, which was their base camp anyway. On the way back, I learned that Chen actually handed Sasuke to Madara Uchiha, and Shigego couldn't help but ask with some worry, "Chen, you just handed Sasuke to Madara Uchiha, don't you worry that he will do something in Sasuke? What are you doing?" Compared to Changwu's worries, Shueyu seemed disapproving, and said to Changwu with a chuckle, "Don't worry, since the boss dares to do this, he must have his reasons, and the masked man is begging the boss for cooperation, so he definitely doesn't dare to do it now. Offending our boss." That said, but, although Shigego was still a little worried, he didn't know how to refute Shueyu. After all, these things were not within his control. Since neither Chen nor Sasuke had any opinions, he couldn't say anything. Chen knew what Shigego was worried about, but he didn't explain anything, just said to him indifferently, "Let's leave Sasuke's business alone, he will be fine, we just do our own thing." Although in the original work, Obito had been trying to hide from Sasuke and was worried about Sasuke, so he placed 6 white avatars on Sasuke to monitor Sasuke, but these avatars are not difficult things. In the original work, the big snake Maru just asked Shigego to input the immortal chakra into Sasuke, and Baiju was forced out, and it was not difficult for Chen, so naturally there was nothing to worry about. Since Chengdu said so, Changwu can only say helplessly, "I see." Next, the few of them didn't say anything more, and rushed in the direction of Tianjiguo at the fastest speed. It didn't take long, and the 3 returned to Yin'an village. At this time, the Yin'an village was already full of fierce soldiers and horses, and the whole village was filled with a chilling air. Because Yin'an village was founded by Orochimaru, there are no ordinary villagers in the village, all of them are ninjas or orphans taken in by Orochimaru from all over the world, Sayunan village is also a strong eater who believes in the law of the jungle. The survival of the fittest is such that there are no weak people in the entire Yunnan village, but a group of desperados who will do anything to achieve their goals. Although there are not many people, but when Zaichen gathered these people together, they also formed a force that should not be underestimated. At this time, they were watching the three people who appeared in front of the village with fanatical eyes. To be more precise, they were watching Chen. And the front of this group of people is standing in front of the Eagle Squad's Vortex fragrance. It turned out that when Chen and Shigego and others went to the Akatsuki organization, Xianglin had already asked Xianglin to echo the Yinanu village first, and asked her to gather all the Yinanu. Seeing that Xianglin had done what he ordered, Chen couldn't help showing a smile of approval, and then greeted him with Shigego and the others. At this time, Xianglin was looking at Chen suspiciously, and when she found that there was no figure that caught her attention, she couldn't help frowning and said, "Where's Sasuke?" Hearing Xianglin open his mouth and mentioning Sasuke, Shui Yuewei complained with a smile, "Hey, Xianglin, don't worry about Sasuke. After all, we have been companions for so many years, you should care about us anyway." I'm not worried about Sasuke, I'll just ask." Her thoughts were revealed by the guy Shuiyu. Xianglin hurriedly defended her, but just by looking at her helpless expression, an idiot could see what she was thinking. Seeing Zhou Shi, who was arguing again between these two guys, Chen frowned and said impatiently, "Okay, don't talk nonsense. Sasuke has his own affairs and will be back soon. Don't talk about him first, leave it to him. How's your mission?" The last sentence was said to Xianglin, and Shuiyu saw that Chen had already shown an impatient expression, and she kept her mouth shut and did not dare to speak again. When he mentioned the task, Xianglin didn't bother about Sasuke anymore. His expression became serious, he pushed the eyes on his face, and said, "All the ninjas in the ninja village have been recalled, all of them are here, there are more than 500 people in total. The weakest are all the strengths of Chunin, of which there are almost 30 of them, and more than 100 of them are in particular. Is this the only one?" Hearing Xianglin's report, Chen's brows wrinkled again. Obviously, he is not very satisfied with the battle strength of Yunnan village. Although such strength does not seem weak, Chen knows that these people are far from the war. Not enough, after all, they are facing the ninja coalition of the 5 major countries, and even the warriors of the Iron Nation are also involved. Xianglin said helplessly, "Originally, there were not only these people in Yunnan village, but after Orochimaru was killed by Sasuke, some good Yunanu left the village, and in the end, only these people were left." Chen asked again, "Are there people in other strongholds?" When Orochimaru took control of Yunnan village, there were quite a few strongholds. Among them, there were 3 strongholds where many prisoners or experimental subjects were detained. The Western Stronghold, that is, the stronghold where Shuiyu was detained before, and the Eastern Stronghold, that was an island prison, previously guarded by Xianglin. The Northern Stronghold, where Changwu was imprisoned, is full of the products of Orochimaru's failed spell seal experiment, and almost all of the people detained there can enter the state of the curse mark, although it is a failure good quality, but the strength is quite impressive. There are many ninjas with blood boundaries in the Western Strongholds, all of which Orochimaru captured from various places for experiments. When you asked me to integrate them before, those who did not obey were killed by Shuiyu and Changgo. Now there are not many people at all. There are only 6 people left. There were originally more than 1,000 people in the prison on the island. Except for those who were disobedient and killed, there were still more than 800 people left. The number is quite large, but the strength is too weak. It's just some genin guys, not many of the Chunin have been brought over by me. As for the Northern Stronghold. Chapter 303, Cloning 2 Tails, 4 Tails. Northern Stronghold. Having said that, Xianglin paused for a moment, looked at Changwu subconsciously, found that he did not show any expression, and continued, "There are quite a few people in the Northern Stronghold, and the strength is also the strongest, but the Northern Stronghold detains all the experimental subjects of Orochimaru, but they are all failed experiments. Although they can enter the curse mark state, the curse mark is not perfect. Although the strength is good, once the curse mark status is turned on, it may be at the beginning. It can also be controlled. Once you start fighting, you will lose your senses and become violent after seeing blood. At that time, you will frantically attack the surrounding targets, which is not easy to control. Moreover, those failed products are not like the heaven and earth curse marks of Junmalu and Sasuke, and even the level of the 4 people is not as good as that of the 4 people. Once they enter the curse mark state, the power of the curse mark will gradually erode their bodies, and it will take a long time. In the end, there are only 2 outcomes left, either exhaustion and death, or becoming a slave of the curse mark, becoming a beast that only knows how to kill. Either way, the outcome is extremely bleak. Chen didn't feel a pity when he learned about the situation in the northern stronghold. Instead, an intriguing smile appeared on his face. Chen didn't care about the life and death of those failed experiments. In his eyes, those experiments were just a group of higher-level people. Beasts, the only function is to allow them to cause some trouble for the so-called Ninja Alliance, that's all. These test items are very unstable, and they will even attack our people in turn. Are you sure you want to put them into battle? Xianglun said with a frown, obviously not optimistic about those test items. Chen sneered and said, I don't care about their fate, I only care about their strength. Rather than leaving them to fend for themselves, it is better for me to use them, at least they can solve some troubles for me, they exist. Meaning, that's all that's left. Hearing Chen's words, even if Xianglun was reluctant, he couldn't say anything, he just said, whatever you want, but many of those people are arrogant guys who don't obey the control at all, and they are still detained at the northern stronghold. How many of those test items are there? There were originally more than 600 people, but now there are more than 500 people left. After the news that Orochimaru was killed before, there were riots in various strongholds of Orochimaru, but Chen had already dispatched Changwu and Shuiyu to suppress it. In order to achieve the purpose of shock and awe, the 2 killed them. Many people are some of the most violent, and now the rest are also shocked by the ruthless methods of Zhongwu and Shuiyu, and they dare not riot again. The manpower is a bit small. This kind of strength is a lot worse than that of the 5 great ninja villages. After learning all the strengths of the Yin Nin village, Chen frowned slightly and seemed very dissatisfied, but after thinking about it, the Yin Nin village was only the small ninja village that Orochimaru casually founded is definitely not as good as those old ninja villages that have been inherited for hundreds of years. It is not bad to have such a level, and Chen Yi never expected to rely on Yin Nin village to win the war. Chen Hart sneered and secretly said, forget it, anyway, the guy who declared war on the 5 major countries is Obito, but he calls himself Madara Uchiha, and that identity will definitely make the 5 major countries more jealous of him. Then his Akatsuki organization and the 5 when the country is facing the front, let's start fighting. Thinking of this, Chen's slightly wrinkled brows also let go, and he looked at the incomparably fanatical voice ninjas in the voice ninja village, and said indifferently, the 5 ninja villages are now gathering their ninjas outside to start preparing for the battle. Xiao's side it should be almost ready, war will break out at any time, when they fight on both sides, we will start, let them get ready first. Quote. After he finished speaking, he ignored these things and walked into the village. He still had some things to prepare, and Xianglun took care of the rest. Chen returned to the meeting room of Yin'an village. First, he issued a mission to Changwu and Shuiyu, and asked them to go to the northern stronghold of Orochimaru. The 2 of them captured the test objects in the northern stronghold and brought them back. Because every character in the northern stronghold is an arrogant guy, they are not controlled at all, they can only use violence to control violence, and they were killed by Changwu and Shuiyu before, so Changwu and Shuiyu have a lot to them. Although the deterrent power of the 2 can't make them obey their words, at least they can deter them with the strength of Zhongwu and Shuiyu, so that they don't dare to make mistakes. After sending Shuiyu and Shigego out, Chen then cast Flying Thunder God and instantly appeared in a rare canyon. I saw Chen took out 2-tailed beast chakra collectors from the space, and reconnected with the system that had not been bubbling for a long time. System, exchange for 2 tails and 4 tails for me. Ding, 2 tails are traveling again, points are needed, 20,000. Four-tailed Monkey King, points are needed. 40,000. Are you sure about the exchange? The cold and emotionless voice of the system sounded in Chen's consciousness. Okay. Chen didn't care about the number of points at all. Since he took the entire ore vein of Geralt in his pocket, he didn't worry about the points anymore, and he chose to confirm without thinking about it. Cloning in progress. Ding. Cloning completed. As soon as the system's voice fell, a violent chakra burst out from the tailed beast chakra collector, sweeping the surrounding area, and finally 2 chakras fell on an open space not far in front of Chen, gradually forming 2 huge chakras. The monster, one end is a 2-tailed cat who is full of death energy and burns with azure blue flames, and the other is a 4-tailed Sun Wukong, a creature similar to an orangutan covered in fiery red fur. When the 2-tailed beasts were forming, Yangtian let out a roar, and a powerful chakra erupted from the body, forming a hurricane, blowing the surrounding sand away like a sandstorm. Looking at the 2 majestic 2nd and 4th tails in front of him, Chen had a meaningful smile on his face and nodded with satisfaction, but he sneered in his heart and said, Uchiha Obito, you don't want me 2 tails and 4 tails in my hand. I do what you want. I hope these 2-tailed beasts won't disappoint you. Of course. They certainly won't disappoint me. Chapter 304, Countries Beginning. Time passed silently. In just a few days, the entire ninja world has undergone earth-shaking changes. During the 5 Shadow Talks, Obito declared war on the 5 major countries at the 5 Shadow Conference under the name of Uchiha Madara, triggering the 4th. The Second Ninja World War, and with the name of Uchiha Madara, it also made the ninja world, which was fighting on its own, like a mess of sand, felt the crisis and had no choice but to join forces. In the past, the ninjas in the 5 villages had let go of any festivals or feuds. Although in the past, they hated each other and even started wars with each other. Once there is a critical moment that can threaten the power of the entire ninja world, they must let go of each other's prejudice. After all, this is related to the crisis of the entire ninja world. The major ninja villages urgently recalled the ninjas outside, and the ninjas in the entire village entered a state of preparation for war. Led by the 5 ninja villages, all the ninja villages in the ninja world responded one after another, and the ninja coalition was quickly established in a short period of time. And the daimyo of the 5 major countries also used a certain form to hold a meeting at a distance. After learning that Uchiha Madara provoked a war and the entire ninja world was threatened, they also understood the seriousness of the matter, and there was no trace of it. He hesitated to announce the alliance, agreed to the establishment of the Ninja Alliance, and expressed that he would spare no effort to provide the resources needed for the war. These big names are very shrewd, otherwise they would not be the leaders of various countries. They also all understand that once the Ninja Alliance fails, then they will be finished, so they naturally dare not be sloppy in logistics, and fully support this game. War. After receiving the support and resources of the daimyo, the ninja villages moved more quickly, and the battle preparations of the villages were being carried out nervously. The 5th generation Hokage Chisho Tsunade of Konoha village also woke up after a long period of cultivation, and took over Hokage's position to preside over Konoha's affairs. During this period, Konoha once again received a message from Union. According to the information of the village, Raing invited the shadows of each village to go to the meeting again, but this time the meeting place was held in Union Village in the Land of Thunder. Soon, the shadows of the villages and the General Mifune of the Iron Country arrived at Union Village one after another, and the battle meeting officially began. Everyone's action is really fast. After everyone was seated, Lei Ying, the initiator and host of this meeting, glanced at the people present and said first. Although an arm has been lost, Raikage's power remains undiminished. The situation is serious after all. Wudai Fungiangara replied indifferently, although the situation was serious, but his expression did not show any nervousness. Tsukage looked at Tsunade who was sitting next to him, and then said to Tsunade, "Princess Tsunade, are you all right? It's not good to take the opportunity to give way to a young man, you are getting old too." Tsunade glanced at Tsukage indifferently, and said indifferently, I don't want to be told that by you, Grandpa Tianliang. Age has always been a taboo for Tsunade, and it's hard for anyone to make fun of her age. If someone dared to say this to her, Tsunade would definitely be angry, but now she doesn't have that kind of mind, and she just refutes her verbally, especially the last two words are particularly accentuated. Okay, that's the end of the chat, let's have a meeting now. The general of the Iron Country, Mifune, knocked on the table lightly for a reminder, and then said, the current situation can no longer be delayed, let's analyze the enemy's nest and the information on the combat power first. Speaking of the serious business, the expressions of each shadow also became serious and no sloppy. I saw Tsunade solemnly say, we Konoha have found a place that is suspected to be the enemy's nest, but it may also be a trap, and we need to collect more information. After listening to Tsunade's words, Reikage said solemnly, we also set up a reconnaissance team to collect information. It seems that it is necessary to exchange the information held by each village. To integrate the information, the coalition forces will form a special unit. Go. That's right, so you won't have to worry about the lack of information. Tsukage nodded, agreeing with this statement. Then it's settled. Lei Ying took a look and no one objected, and decided to make a decision. Then next, regarding the placement of Union Village's 8-tailed peoples Zuli and Konoha Village's 9-tailed peoples Zuli, and the 8-tailed peoples Zuli has fallen into the hands of the other party, I'm afraid it's already a lot of misfortune. If Madara Uchiha said if the 10 tails are true, then the remaining 9-tailed man Zuli cannot let him fall into the opponent's hands no matter what, otherwise it will be a catastrophe for the ninja world. The 5th generation Mizukage, who was newly elected in Korean Village, nodded in agreement and said, well, Admiral Mifune is right, although I don't know if what the masked man said is true, but no matter what, we can't take the risk. This risk must not let the 9 tails fall into the hands of the enemy. The Anbu of Wuyin Village. It is no worse than the shadow level. After learning that the 4th generation of Mizukage had been killed, and the news brought by Tuakage, the elders of the Foggy Village also knew the seriousness of the matter, so Ichiro Harada was elected as Mizukage. Thinking about it for a while, I feel that Chojuro is still too young at this time, and he is not qualified for the position of Mizukage in terms of strength or qualifications, not to mention that without the flatfish, Chojuro's strength is even weaker, so Mizukage only can rewrite it. Tsukage first glanced at Tsunade, and then asked solemnly, then, where should Hitojiri be hidden? Hide it. Tsunade was surprised, and quickly asked, why hide? Naruto is also our important fighting force. Onogi shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, I thought the same thing before, but in this war, the enemy's goal is the human column, so just in case, he cannot be allowed to participate in this battle, you must know the current human column. He is the only one left, and if something goes wrong, the consequences will be disastrous. This was decided at the previous meeting, but you were still on the hospital bed at the time. Quote. Tsunade frowned and just wanted to refute, but after thinking about it, it was exactly what Tukage said, so he didn't get tougher. Forget it, since you've already made up your mind, it's up to you, hurry up. Next topic. Just when everyone was about to move on to the next topic, one person hurriedly walked into the conference room. The meeting of everyone was interrupted. Chapter 305, Wonderful Cherubi. The person who rushed into the meeting room was Joinin, Samui from Union Village. Seeing the person coming was a calm Samui, Reikage's face also softened. He also knew that with the character of the other party, if it wasn't for something important, he would not be so reckless, so he asked in a deep voice. Sammy, we are having an important meeting now, what happened? Samui naturally knew the importance of this meeting, but she had just received an important piece of information and had to report to Reikage, so she could only do so. Before there was time to salute the shadows present, Samui walked quickly to the meeting and said to Reikage, Lord Reikage, Omoi secretly sent me information just now, he and Karui seem to have found Lord Kurabi. Quote. Nani? B. The information brought by Samui really surprised everyone present. They naturally knew that Kurabi was the name of the eight-tailed man Zuli of Union Village, and he was also Reikage's younger brother. Naturally, they would not be unfamiliar. Originally, they all thought that the Eight Tails had been arrested by the people of Xiao's organization for a while. They had long thought that Kurabi was already a lot of evil, and Reikage was even angry about it, and vowed to avenge Kurabi, but now however, when he heard the news of Kurabi, he was naturally very excited. Omoy and the others found by. Hurry up, what's going on? Where are they now? Upon learning of his brother's news, the excited Reikage asked several questions in a row. At this time, Samui looked at Reikage with a strange look on his face, and then said, They are now in the Land of Thunder, but not in Union Village, and Omoida said that he and Karui were being held hostage by Lord Kurabi. No, it wasn't a hostage, just forced them to do some strange things, and Lord Kurabi didn't seem to want Lord Reikage to know his whereabouts. The news was surreptitiously brought back by Omoi. As Kurabi's older brother and partner for many years, Reikage naturally knew his younger brother very well, but after thinking about it, he immediately understood Kurabi's thoughts, and because of this, Reikage was instantly furious and roared. Said, sure enough, I knew that he couldn't be caught so easily than that ***** guy. He must have wanted to take this opportunity to sneak out to play. Bastard, you dare to deceive me, wait for my iron fist. Quote. It turns out that Kurabi is the same as in the original book. Since Yunlixia escaped secretly, he went to his Enka teacher to learn the skills of Enka, and this time no one knows his whereabouts, so he was not like in the original book. After finding it and learning the art of Enka for a few days in peace, Kurabi also bid farewell to his teacher. Kurabi, who had rarely slipped out, naturally couldn't return to Union Village so easily. He wanted to play for a few more days. Since he had just learned from his teacher for a few days, Kurabi, who was full of self-confidence, had a whimsical concert. The idea of it happened that he also met two students, Omoy and Kurui, who were out, so he forcibly caught them and forced them to sell concert tickets for him. Although Kurabi strongly ordered the two not to tell Reikage the news, Omoy knew the current situation and the importance of Kurabi, so he went against Kurabi's wishes and secretly shared the news. Sent back. Hearing such dramatic news, everyone in the conference room looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Only Raing, who had been furious because of Kurabi's deception, but now learned of Kurabi's bizarre behavior, and he was still the face of so many outsiders, made his face dull and violent. However, when he learned that Kurabi was all right, the heart that he had been holding was finally calmed down, but he was put together by Kurabi, and he naturally couldn't easily spare him. Boom! With a loud bang, the furious Reikage slammed his fist on the table, only to hear Reikage roar, "Bye, you shameful idiot, this old man will definitely not bypass you." The wooden table naturally couldn't withstand Reikage's fist, and with Reikage's roar, it collapsed instantly after a loud bang. At this time, Tuakage stood up, looked at Reikage and said in a deep voice, "Reikage, now is not the time to be angry. The eight-tailed man Zuri did not fall into the hands of the enemy. This is good news, at least we have another opportunity, but the most urgent task is to quickly get back the strength of the people, and must not fall into the hands of the enemy." Gaara also stood up from his seat to express his approval, and said indifferently, "That's right, since the enemy hasn't caught Kurabi, they will definitely make a move. They must not be allowed to find Kurabi first, otherwise it will be dangerous." Now, Reikage also knew that the situation was urgent, so he didn't get angry anymore, and said apologetically to the other shadows, "I know, but no one can control him except me, so I have to go personally, otherwise he won't be able to control him. I'm back, sorry, everyone." Well, we all understand the importance of human strength. Bring Kurabi back first, and then let's talk about other things. The rest of the four shadows also expressed their understanding. After all, the goal of Akatsuki's organization is Renjuli. Since the eight-tailed Renjuli has not fallen into the hands of the enemy now, he must be brought back to avoid Akatsuki's poisonous hands. Let's go. After asking Kurabi's location, Reikage greeted Darui and Shi, and then jumped directly from the window of the conference room. Darui and she were not surprised, and smiled bitterly. After a while, he apologized to the remaining 4 shadows, and followed suit. Reikage took Darui and she to quickly find Kurabi, as well as the 2 hard-pressed children, Omoi and Karui, who were forced by Kurabi to sell tickets. The rabbi was wearing a well-prepared kimono and fantasizing about the dream of a concert, but was pulled back to reality by the sudden Reikage. In the end, the furious Reikage ruthlessly repaired Kurabi with an iron fist, and then was forcibly dragged back to Union Village by Reikage, and Kurabi's dream of the first concert in his life was mercilessly torn apart. Chapter 306, Assembly. After bringing Chirabi back to Union and shutting him up, the 5 shadows continued their previous meeting and soon reached a consensus. They recruited people from various villages, formed a special intelligence unit to share information, and also as for the placement of Zuli, Reikage proposed a hiding place for the 8-tailed and 9-tailed Zuli, and the 5th Hokage also valued Kurabi's ability to control the tailed beast and proposed to let Kurabi guide Naruto. The content of the war meeting was quickly determined, and each village reported the number of all ninjas. Together with the responses from the warriors of the Iron Country and individual small ninja villages, the total number reached almost 100,000. Such a lineup is simply unprecedented, and it is the first time in the history of the ninja world. After that, various occupations are arranged, and talents are selected from each village, such as the reconnaissance team, the perception team, the surprise attack team, the medical department, the intelligence department, etc. In Konoha village, after a period of construction work, and the efficiency of the ninja is extremely high, with the help of various earth escape ninjutsu, the preliminary reconstruction has been completed. Not long after, Naruto also returned from his studies in Miaomu Mountain. After so many things, he was no longer the tail of the crane before, but he was sent to Paradise Island in secret by Tsunade just after returning. It was the place where Reikage provided Renzuli to hide, and Kurabi had already been chased away by Reikage. On Paradise Island, everything is the same as the plot in the original book, and it has not changed. Naruto and Kurabi met unexpectedly, and then taught Naruto to control the 9-tailed chakra. Naruto is also subduing the 9-tailed chakra. At a critical time, he met his mother, Uzumaki Kushina, and learned the secret of the catastrophe of the 9 tails from Kushina's mouth. A few days later, the Ninja Alliance gathered all the ninjas and gathered in Union Village, and during this period, the 5 shadows also gathered together again and held a battle meeting one by one. In the conference room, the 5 shadows sat around a round table, and a map of the ninja world was placed on the round table. Nara Shikahisa, who was already Naruto's advisor, pointed at the map with a thin pole. Nara Shikahisa explained to the shadows while pointing at the map, the X mark is definitely the enemy's lair, which is called the Cemetery of the Mountains. By land, you will pass through Shuangyan Village and Tangyan Village. The 2 countries to which Arian Village belongs have sent evacuation advice, and according to the intelligence obtained by the infiltration team, the number of enemies is no less than 100,000. Considering the way the coalition forces move, only a few will go by sea, but the number is too small. If you do, you will be worried about being surrounded. Quote. The general of the Iron Country, Mifune, glanced at the battle map and said indifferently, in this way, it will be better to see which side strikes first. Wang also understood this truth, and quickly issued an order to the assistant beside him. First gather the surprise troops, order the assembled Dalian troop to form a formation, and confirm their respective formations. I also order the unexpected troops in the rear, bring medical ninja equipment, Shikuji, you go to cooperate with the intelligence troops and carry out the information confirmation route. Contact the perception force and let them hurry up. Yes. Understand. Understand. After receiving the order from Ying, the assistants around each shadow quickly retreated from the conference room to convey the order. After the subordinates all ran to give the order, Gaara took out an item from under the table and put it on the table, and said softly, I finished this while you were away, and you guys have a look. It turned out that the thing on the table was just an ordinary ninja forehead guard, but there was no sign of the village on the forehead guard. Instead, it was replaced by a word, Ninja. This forehead guard was obviously specially made for the Ninja Coalition. Tokage looked at the things on the table and said with admiration, "Oh, it's already done. This is the forehead guard of the Ninja Alliance, it's quite good." Hearing Tsuchikage's praise, Mifune of the Iron Country also seemed very happy, and said, "This is a design made by me who used to be at odds with each other, and now they are united into one, ninja. The moment has finally come." That's right, the ninja world even has a day of a united front. It seems that it will be beneficial to live for a long time. At least I can witness this day. There was no further meeting, waiting for the ninjas to form a formation. Just when the Ninja Army Alliance was already ready to go, and the Akatsuki organization on the other side was naturally not far behind, the surviving members of the Akatsuki organization also gathered together, including the one who had just talked with Obito. The big snake pocket of the conditions. At this time, several people gathered together and seemed to be discussing something. According to the information from the eyeliner, the ninjas of the 5 countries have assembled, and a war will break out immediately. The big snake smiled and replied, "The moment has finally come, then. I should also show my strength, psychic. Reincarnation of the dirty earth." After that, the big snake pocket quickly formed a seal with his hands, and then his hands suddenly pressed on the ground. With the action of the big snake pocket, the whole ground was roaring, and it seemed that something was about to break out of the ground. After a while, a forest of white coffins sprang up from the ground like bamboo shoots after a rain. As the coffin lid fell, one after another figure walked out of the coffin, with black pupils without a trace of whiteness, dull eyes and a dull expression. Looking at the big snake pocket in front of him. Seeing this, Orochimaru had a wicked smile on his face again, obviously satisfied with his masterpiece, and introduced the Akatsuki organization on the side. First of all, the members of the Akatsuki organization, Deidara, Scorpion, Ghost Shark, Itachi. In addition to the predecessors Zuli, Sanwei Yakura, Wuweihen, Luibu, Nanyufu. There are also the predecessors of Wukage, the 2nd generation of Tsuchikage, the 3rd generation of Reikage, the 4th generation of Kazekage. Ghosts are not cut again, Ice Shield White, Sanshoyu Hanzo, Sandy Chio, Kagaya Jun Maro, Konoha's Sarutobi Asma, Duan, Hyuga Risari, Yamato Tenzo. And others worthy of the name Fang Chang. Such a strong lineup really shocked the rest of Xiao's organization. They dared not despise the Orochimaru in front of them. They also confirmed the identity of Orochimaru. The strong man reborn with Orochimaru, plus Xiao, the organization of the original Baiju clone, will never lose to the ninja coalition of the 5 countries. Chapter 307. Going to the battlefield. The 4th Ninja World War has finally begun. After a short swearing-in meeting, the Ninja Alliance of as many as 100,000 people was divided into 5 combat brigades and a number of special combat units. Luo served as the commander-in-chief of the 4th unit and combat unit, and the troops went straight to the battlefield in several ways. And the Xiao organization is naturally not far behind. The 100,000 Baiju clones and the reincarnated army of the Big Snake Do Dirty Soil rushed to the battlefield to compete with the Ninja Coalition division. Although a large-scale battle has not yet broken out, the vanguard troops dispatched by both sides have already fought. First, the intelligence troops sent by Konoha were discovered and hunted down by people organized by Akatsuki, and then they were encountered by the surprise troops of the coalition forces, so a battle broke out between the 2 sides. At the same time, in Yin'an village, Chen stood on a high platform, Changwu of Eagle Squad and Shuiyu Shenglin stood behind him respectively, and below the high platform was all the fighting power assembled by Yin'an village, but the number was the same as that of the 5 great nations or Xiao organization. Compared with the army of the Scorpion, it is simply not worth mentioning. There are only more than 1,000 people, but the amazing thing is that the momentum displayed by these ninjas is extremely strange, and it seems that some kind of mutation has occurred in these ninjas. Seeing that the sound ninjas below had already formed the formation, Shenglin reported to Chenhui beside him, "All the people who can go to the battlefield in the sound ninja village are here. There are only more than 1,000 people, including the water a few days ago." According to the eyeliner report, the number of ninja coalition forces in the 5 countries is as high as tens of thousands, even close to 100,000 people. Just rely on these people. Hearing Xianglin's report, Chen's face showed an indifferent smile and said, the number of people is a little less, but don't worry, anyway, the main battlefield is supported by the Xiao organization, and more importantly, the following people's strength, but it took me a lot of thought. As Chen said, although there are not many of these Yin-Ren, but these people have one thing in common, the momentum of each Yin-Ren seems extremely evil, the lowest strength is the special Sheng-Ren, and there are a few several have reached the level of elite Jonin or even shadow level. Such strength is not much weaker than the coalition forces of the 5 major countries. After all, although the number of coalition forces of the 5 major countries is large, it is impossible for everyone to be a Jonin. The cannon fodder, in terms of personal strength, these, in Yinan village are naturally much stronger than those in the middle and lower. These sound ninjas were originally only mediocre in strength, with only individual upper ninjas, but after taking the evil potion exchanged by Chen from the system, the strength of the whole person has increased by leaps and bounds in a short period of time, reaching the current state, compared to before. It can be described as a world of difference. The only downside is that the Junin in these Yinan villages is a bit weaker than the serious 800 Shangjin. After all, although their strengths have reached the level of Shangnin, they are just a little bit worse than those who cultivated step by step because they were forcibly promoted by foreign objects. Evil medicine, after taking it, can overdraw the potential of the user's body, stimulate all the potential of the user, and increase the user's strength to the extreme in a short period of time, but the price paid is extremely heavy. There will be very few lifespans left. The higher the strength is, the shorter the remaining lifespan, and the most will not live for more than a year. Of course, this price Chen did not tell these Yin ninjas. Therefore, although the strength of these more than 1,000 Shangnin is strong, the end is the exhaustion of life force, and finally died miserably. Although this is very unfair and even cruel to those Yin-Ren, it's just that Chen doesn't care. The life and death of these Yin-Ren is not important to him at all. What he cares about is what these Yin-Ren can do for him. That's all. Looking at each and everyone below, excited and enthusiastic, Chen said to them with a sneer, the war has started, the surprise troops of the 5 countries and the advanced troops of Xiao's organization have already fought, and it's time for them. Let the people of the 5 countries see our strength. Roar tilde tilde. With such a powerful strength all of a sudden, the sound ninjas could not wait to find the trouble of the ninjas of the 5 great kingdoms immediately. After receiving Chen's order, everyone burst out with excited roars and venting. Standing behind Chen, Shuiyu seemed to be infected by the emotions of the sound and ninjas. With a bloodthirsty smile on her face, she said, Hee tilde, is the war finally going to start? I can't wait. Hearing Shuiyu's words, Chen glanced at him indifferently, and said indifferently, okay, these people will be led by you and Changwu, but there is no other task for the time being, so let's free to kill the ninjas of the 5 countries, and the others. I'll let you know later. The water moon monster smiled and replied, understood. After that, all the ninjas in Yinan village were led by the 2 of them to the battlefield. After Shuiyu and Shigego led Yinan village to leave, only Chen and Xianglin were left at the scene. Looking at the crowd of Yin Ren's troops gradually leaving, Xianglin withdrew his gaze, turned to Xiang Chen, and asked, what are you going to do next? Chen said indifferently, I want to go to Xiao's lair first, some things must be resolved. Is there anything I need to do? Xianglin continued to ask. Chen Qing shook his head and said, not yet, now the war has started, you should stay in the village and don't go out, and I will inform you when you have a task. Compared with Shuiyu and Changgo, Xianglin is not a fighter at all, and can only deal with some things later, and now is the time of war. Chen naturally did not let Xianglin perform any tasks. Xianglin naturally had no objection to Chen's words, nodded and said, I know, since that's the case, then I'll go down first. After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for Chen to reply, and immediately retreated from the high platform. It's time to talk to Obito about the tailed beast. After Xianglin left, Chen also launched the Flying Thunder God technique and disappeared instantly. Chapter 308. Goodbye Pharmacist Pocket. Now, the war has started, and the personnel of both sides are constantly meeting on the battlefield, and then a fierce battle broke out, which is being staged all over the ninja world, and the battle has become white-hot at the beginning. For Chen, he didn't care much about how intense the fight was outside. The 5 major powers are the 2 major forces of the Shao organization, no matter which side had the upper hand, would have no effect on him. After coming out of Yinan village, Chen went directly to the nest of Shao organization. He wanted to get the rest of the tailed beast chakra, and he believed that the guy with Obito must have the same thoughts now. This matter is dealt with. For Chen, Obito still attached more importance to Chen. As soon as he received the news that Chen had arrived, he came out to greet him in person, and he did not express surprise at Chen's arrival, as if he had expected Chen to come. With Ju, a ubiquitous intelligence officer, many things in the ninja world can't be concealed from Obito's eyes and ears. Although the number of people in the ninja village is not much compared to the 5 major countries or the Shao organization, it is not a few. Uchi Bochin gathered so many people, and Obito naturally got the information. Originally, Obito didn't see the strength of the Sound Ninja village, but he still did not dare to despise Uchi Bochin, so he let the people who absolutely pay attention to the Sound Ninja village. As a result, what surprised him was that the strength displayed by the Sound of Ninja village was beyond his expectations. After taking the evil potion synthesized by Chen, the overall strength of everyone in Yinan village has been greatly improved. Thousands of ninjas at the level of the ninja will be shocking no matter where they are. With that combat power, they can conquer a country is more than enough, so he can no longer underestimate it. So after Chen followed Obito into the base of Shao's organization, Obito asked tentatively, "The 5 major countries have already begun to act, how are your preparations?" Hearing Obito's question, Chen sneered and said indifferently, "Hee, don't worry, since I have agreed to cooperate with you, then I will definitely not lose the chain. I have invested all the fighting power of Yinan village. In the battlefield, you don't have to worry about your strength, I believe they will not disappoint you." Quote. Really? That's the best way? Obito pondered for a while, and he also saw that Chen didn't want to say more about this issue, so he didn't bother about it anymore, and said, "By the way, since I'm here, I'll take you to see you. An acquaintance." "Oh, an acquaintance." Chen pondered in a low voice, and glanced at Obito thoughtfully, as if thinking about who the acquaintance Obito was talking about. "Let's go, we'll know when the time comes." Obito didn't explain much, and after telling Chen, he led the way in front. Seeing this, Chen didn't ask any further questions, chuckled twice with interest, and followed Obito's footsteps. Soon, Obito took Chen to a dark secret room, and there was already someone waiting in the secret room. I saw that this person was wearing a dark red cloak, and his back was facing Obito and Chen. He couldn't see his face clearly, but Chen could feel a gloomy aura from the man's body, and he was very impressed, especially the giant snake that was breathing continuously from the man's cloak. Chen had already guessed this. Human identity. After seeing Obito and Chen coming in, he turned around slowly, with a sinister sneer on his face. When he saw Uchiha Chen behind Obito again, he did not show the slightest expression of surprise. Obviously, he already knew who was coming. Who, or maybe there is no fear at all. So it's you. Long time no see, Chen Jun. This person is the pharmacist Pocket who came to Obito to seek a deal before, and now he has become a big snake Pocket. After the two met, Obito explained to Chen. Pharmacist Pocket, it should be called Orochimaru now, used to be Orochimaru's subordinate, but now it is from our side, presumably the two of you both don't be unfamiliar. Chen sneered and said, "Of course, how can you be unfamiliar? I used to take care of him a lot in Yinan village. After Orochimaru was killed, I paid special attention to your whereabouts, but unfortunately I didn't find it." Listening to Chen's teasing tone, Dashido didn't say anything. He still had a faint smile on his face, and the two snake pupils flashed a strange light, and said neither humble nor arrogant, Haha tilde I didn't expect Chenjin to care about this little guy like me. I am really flattered. Bang. Chen didn't care about Orochimaru's attitude, just snorted and ignored him. In his opinion, Yaoshido was just a small role, and he could kill him easily, even if Yaoshido got Orochimaru now. The power has become Orochimaru. He still doesn't take the other side seriously. He would only inquire about his whereabouts because of the reincarnation technique of -1. It's a pity that the pharmacist pocket is doing espionage work after all. The intelligence ability and the ability to hide are very powerful. The people sent by Chen are not his opponents at all, so there has been no news of the pharmacist's pocket, and in the end, Chen is nothing to do with it. At this time, Obito said, "Okay, since everyone knows each other, I don't need to introduce any more. Kao now has the same purpose with us, and he has inherited the power of Orochimaru, which is of great importance to us. Help." Chen smiled and said playfully, "Haha tilde I remember that Orochimaru seems to have studied the forbidden technique of reincarnation of the dirty earth. It seems that you should also inherit this forbidden technique, right?" "That's right, Do has indeed mastered this forbidden technique, and he is out of blue. It is because of this that I agreed to cooperate with him." Do didn't speak, but Obito answered the question for him. Chen didn't care, and continued, "Oh, can you tell me what the conditions of cooperation between you are?" This. Obito stopped for a while and didn't know how to answer. After all, the condition he promised to do was Sasuke Uchiha, who was Uchiha Chen's brother, although he tried it when he proposed to him to transplant Sasuke's eyes before. Uchiha Chen's attitude towards Sasuke ended up being a random answer. Uchiha Chen's attitude really made him unpredictable. He seemed to know that he had attacked Sasuke, and he didn't care about his actions on Sasuke. It seems that Sasuke's feelings are not as important as he imagined. But judging from what Uchiha Chen did, he undoubtedly valued Sasuke very much, and even Itachi gave Sasuke his eyes without hesitation. In the end, Obito didn't understand what Uchiha Chen was like. Facing Uchiha Chen's question, Obito didn't know how to answer for a while. Chapter 309, Backhand. Seemingly seeing Obito's embarrassment, Chen smiled and said indifferently, "Since you don't want to answer, then forget it, I don't care much anyway." Since Chen didn't follow this question, Obito naturally wouldn't take the initiative to say it. Let's not talk about Chen's attitude towards Sasuke, but anyway Sasuke is also Uchiha Chen's brother, so he and Kazuo are plotting Sasuke. In any case, it shouldn't be said face to face, so Obito hit haha and passed. Soon, Obito also got rid of the embarrassment just now, returned to his previous indifference, and said, "What is the purpose of your coming here today?" Speaking of the purpose of this trip, Chen Yi put away his abusive gaze, and didn't make any sloppy nonsense, but said straight to the point, "I want a tailed beast." What? Obito was stunned again, apparently not responding yet. Chen's eyes were fixed on Obito, and he said coldly again, "I said, I want a tailed beast." This time, Obito finally reacted. He didn't expect Chen's purpose this time to be the tail beast. Although he promised Uchiha Chen's condition was indeed to give the other side the tail beast, he didn't expect Uchiha Chen to be so eager to ask for it. He had no intention of handing over the tailed beast to others, and the condition of his promise to Uchiha Chen was just a bad check. He never thought of cashing it at all. Instead, he even hid Uchiha Chen's tailed beast's idea. Now Chen is so straightforward. It was indeed beyond his expectations to ask him for a tailed beast, but fortunately, he had already thought of the words to deal with Uchiha Chen. "No, this request, I can't satisfy you for the time being." Hearing Obito's answer, Chen's brows wrinkled, his face instantly turned cold, and he said coldly, "Are you kidding me?" Chen's body exuded a terrifying chill, and at the same time locked Obito, and even his pocket was implicated. If Deo Obito didn't give an explanation, he would kill them. "No, I won't go back on what I promised you." In the face of Chen's undisguised killing intent, although Obito couldn't see his expression, his tone was also solemn, and he didn't dare to be careless. After all, the person in front of him was not those from the Shao organization. Once the negotiation failed, it might be true. Will cause serious consequences. Humph. This is different from what you said at the beginning. Now you want to go back on it. Let me tell you, if you don't give me a satisfactory explanation today, I will definitely make you pay. At this time, Dashedu, acting as a peacekeeper, stood up and smiled lightly to persuade Chen. Chen-jun, please be patient. Our common enemy is the Ninja Alliance of the 5 countries. There is no need to make trouble for one thing. It's hard to deal with each other. This will not benefit any of us, and I believe that Ah Fei will definitely give you an explanation. HMPH. Chen snorted coldly, glanced at Dashedu indifferently, didn't care about his behavior, and then focused his eyes on Obito again, obviously waiting for Obito's explanation. We want to subvert the 5 major countries and only rely on the current combat power to do it, so we must rely on the power of the outsider golem, and if we want to drive the outsider golem, we must rely on the huge chakra of the tail beast to complete. The tail beast has a total of there are 9, and we have only sealed 1 tail, 3 tails, 5 tails, 6 tails, and 7 tails. Only 5-tailed beasts can't exert the full strength of the outsider golem. It is not enough. If the only 5-tailed beasts are separated, it will be even more impossible to drive the outsider golem, so the current tailed beast cannot be separated for the time being. And, while flickering, Obito watched Uchiha Chen's expression. He paused for a while, and after seeing that Chen didn't seem to be angry, he breathed a sigh of relief and continued, I hope to be able to borrow you. The tailed beast in the hand, because the more tailed beasts gathered, the more powerful the outsider golem can play. In this way, we have the power to subvert the Ninja Army Alliance, and no one in the ninja world can stop us. The plan, the entire ninja world will be ours, and at that time, we will create a world without war and pain. Enough. Just when Obito was still talking about his plan, Chen, who was already impatient, interrupted Obito's flickering, and at the same time, an expression of anger was on his face, and he said with a grim smile, Humph. I knew you wouldn't give me the tailed beast so easily, and you said so much, you just wanted the 2nd and 4th tails in my hands. Now that it has been said, Obito has no need to deny it, and said directly, yes, the tailed beast is the key to resurrecting the 10 tails, whether it is in your hands and the 2nd tail and the 4th tail, or you have not succeeded in capturing them. The 8-tailed and 9-tailed, these tailed beasts are all necessary for resurrecting the tailed beast. If there is no tailed beast, my plan cannot be completed, so I must collect all the tailed beasts anyway. Of course, I promise you I will honor the conditions, but only after my plan is completed. After listening to Obito's words, Chen smiled inwardly, and waited until the plan was completed before fulfilling the promise. I am afraid that at that time, Uchiha Obito may have already sealed all the tailed beasts into 10 tails, and he himself will become the 10-tailed human Zuli. At that time, it is undoubtedly a fool to want him to fulfill his promise. This Obito from the beginning, I never thought about giving the tailed beast to Chen, and I just wanted to stabilize Chen when I said that before. But in this regard, Chen Zhao has already left behind, and sneered in his heart, Uchiha Obito, do you really think that people all over the world are as easy to fool as Nagato? But since you have already spoken, I do not express how it doesn't make sense. Anyway, the 2 clone-tailed beasts are also prepared for you. Even if you don't speak, I will give them to you. I just don't know that after you seal these 2 clone-tailed beasts in your body, I detonate these 2-tailed beasts again, what kind of scene will it be? Thinking of the 2 just cloned 2 tails and 4 tails in the space, as well as some kind of powerful function attached to the clone-tailed beast, a playful look flashed in Chen's eyes, but it was fleeting, and the 2 people around him didn't notice it. The transformation to Uchiha. Chapter 310, each takes what he needs. Although he had long wanted to give up the clone-tailed beast to Obito, Chen might have been too obvious to avoid Obito's suspicion, so he acted as tough as he did just now, and then pretended to be convinced by Obito. Only then will the pseudo-tailed beast be handed over to Obito. And Obito also seemed to see that Chen's attitude had changed. It was not as tough as before, Obito thought that Chen had gradually been persuaded by him, and hurriedly hit the railway while it was hot. At present, we have sealed the 5-tailed beasts. If you add the 2-tailed beasts in your hand, the 10-tailed plan has been initially completed. As long as the 8-tailed and 9-tailed chakras are collected, then the outsider golem will be able to play a role, even if all the people in the Ninja Alliance together they are no match for us. Quote. After listening to Obito's words, Chen withdrew the killing intent he had just aimed at Obito and Dudu, and the momentum he exuded just disappeared. Seeing this, Obito was overjoyed. Although he was eager to get the 2nd and 4th tails, Obito did not chase after him. As long as Uchiha was not as strong as before, he believed that he would be able to convince Uchiha. Chen agreed to his conditions, and it could be seen from the change in Uchiha Chen's attitude that he seemed to be about to persuade Chen. The two of them have their own ghosts, and Obito wants to fool Chen and ask him to donate the tailed beast in his hand, but Chen's original purpose is to send the clone tailed beast under his control to Obito, but this purpose don't make it too obvious. Now that Obito is persuading, Chen naturally won't let go of such a good opportunity, but after a few symbolic arguments, he pretends to be persuaded by Obito, and in exchange, Obito had to let him collect the chakras of other tailed beasts for him to study. For this condition, Obito just thought about it and agreed. Although he had already realized that the purpose of Uchiha Chen's collection of tailed beast chakra may not be for the so-called research, but he finally agreed to Chen's request. After all, no matter what, Orway and Seaway are determined to win, not to mention the promise made to Uchiha Chen tailed beast before. Now not only has he not fulfilled the promise, but he has also confiscated the 2-headed beast in Chen's hands, which makes Obito I feel that I owe Chen Uchiha, so Obito naturally tries to meet Chen's requirements as much as possible. Although Obito doesn't know what the purpose of Uchiha Chen's collection of tailed beasts is, no matter what the purpose is, it can't compare to the plan of the 10 tails. As long as the 10 tails can be resurrected, Obito is confident, no matter what conspiracy Uchiha Chen has. Not to be afraid, thinking of this, Obito also gave up the idea of asking. Anyway, he knew that even if he asked, Uchiha Chen would not be able to tell him. The two hit it off and get what they want. That's it, I will seal the 2nd and 4th tails first. Come and help me. With you, the progress of our sealing will be improved a lot, and by the way, I will give you the tailed beast chakra you need. After successfully flickering from Chen's hands to Orway and Seaway, Obito plans to fool Chen to do things for him, because the members of Xiao's organization are almost dead, and there is a serious shortage of manpower, so Obito will naturally not let go passing Chen this ready-made labor. Chen did not refuse Obito's request. After all, the tailed beast chakra he needs has not been obtained yet, so it is naturally impossible to leave like this, so he nodded and said, whatever, I have nothing urgent to do now, and I happen to stop by. Look at Sasuke. I'll gather some people first, come with me. After all, Obito activated his ability, and a vortex-shaped black hole instantly formed behind him, and then he and Chen were gradually sucked into the vortex, and Chen didn't resist, and entered Obito at the same time. In the divine power space of the soil, in the end, after Obito and Chen's figures were completely inhaled into the divine power space, the space vortex gradually became smaller until they disappeared without a trace. One person stayed in this hidden cave. Orochimaru did not leave with Obito and the others, because he had his own business to do. The reincarnated army had already met with the ninjas of the 5 major countries. This was a game between him and the 5 countries. The reincarnated army was his pawn. He naturally wanted to stay and control everything, and Obito also understood the role of the snake pocket, so he didn't expect the snake pocket to help seal the tailed beast, so he didn't speak to him. After leaving with Uchiha, there was only Osakudo left in this secret cave. Looking at the direction of the two people's departure, Orochimaru sat on the ground and re-examined the chessboard on the ground, with a resignation hanging on his face. Human elusive sneer. After a period of time, after Obito released Chen from the Shinwei space again, Chen found that he had returned to the place where the outsider golem was hidden before. There, Ju, Pain, and Xiaonan were the only ones left. All the members of the group have already arrived. After Chen appeared, everyone present focused on Chen. Tiandao Pain glanced at Chen indifferently, but with a cold snort, he withdrew his gaze, turned his head and said to Obito, "Afei, what's the matter with calling us back in such a hurry?" Baiju also echoed, "Yes, you actually asked me to give up tracking the whereabouts of the eight-tailed Manzuli and rush back. Why are you so anxious?" Obito raised his palm to stop everyone's questioning, and waited until it was quiet before saying, "Let's put it aside beforehand, we have more important things to accomplish now." After speaking, Obito turned his attention to Chen. Chen naturally knew Obito's gesture. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and then began to seal in the eyes of everyone in Xiao organization. After finishing all the seals, he suddenly slapped his right hand on the ground. Boom! As a cloud of white fog appeared out of thin air, two giants appeared out of thin air in everyone's field of vision. This is 2 tails and 4 tails. That's right, what we have to do next is to seal these two-tailed beasts. Quote ellipsis. Chapter 311, Blocking the Way. The next thing is much simpler. It only needs to seal the second and fourth tails that have been controlled by Uchiha Chen's kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Although it is not very troublesome, it takes a lot of time. After all, there are not enough manpower, so the speed of sealing is twice as fast as before, plus the two-tailed beasts are sealed together, the time required is longer. So no matter how fierce the fight was outside, the people in Chen and Xiao's organization were unknown. After spending this time in this boring sealing ceremony, they naturally couldn't care about the outside world. Just when Chen was still busy with the seal of the tailed beast in the organization of Xiao and Xiao, in a cave in the headquarters of Xiao's organization, a young man in a gray-white kimono was sitting quietly beside the stone wall of the cave. There was nothing other than the faintly glowing oil lamp. The entire cave was empty, unusually dark and quiet. And this young man is none other than Sasuke Uchiha, who asked Obito to transplant his eyes. At the beginning, his eyes were a little uncomfortable, so he wrapped his eyes with a piece of cloth, and after a few days of cultivation, at this time, Sasuke has gradually adapted to the new eyes, although it has not completely fit, but it is almost the same. During this period of time, because of the transplant of new eyes, he has been staying in this place organized by Akatsuki, and with this period of meditation, Sasuke's mood has also calmed down in this peaceful cave. Once a person calms down, many things will come to mind involuntarily, or some unforgettable past events will be recalled. Although Sasuke is a strong ninja, he is also an ordinary person, and he also has the emotions of a normal person, so in these quiet days, Sasuke also thought about many things. Thinking of Konoha, thinking of the 7th class, thinking of Uchiha who was exterminated, and also thinking of his elder brother, Uchiha Itachi, and Sasuke still can't let go of it is that Itachi still didn't tell him what he said before he died. The truth, but Sasuke also felt from Itachi's attitude that he did not seem to be forced, which made Sasuke feel very confused, and also made his determination to destroy Konoha a little shaken. This feeling made him very upset. Bastards, everyone is like this. Do you think you can hide from me for the rest of your life without saying anything? I've had enough. As if thinking of something, Sasuke made a secret decision in his heart and stood up suddenly. Humph. This thing is no longer needed. Sasuke is a man of action. He does whatever comes to his mind. He never procrastinates. While speaking, he has already pulled off the cloth wrapped around his eyes. Although his eyes are still a little uncomfortable, it does not affect his eyesight. There would be no problem if you wrote the wheel eye on it. I didn't care about the discomfort of the eyes. Sasuke couldn't wait. He didn't want to stay in this dark ghost place anymore, because he was going to verify something. After picking up the grass pheasant sword placed beside the stone wall and inserting the sword in his waist, Sasuke walked slowly towards the exit of the grotto. Hey, where are you going? You can't walk around now. Just as Sasuke was about to walk out of the exit, a frivolous voice suddenly sounded, causing Sasuke's footsteps to stop, only to see a man who was covered in white and had crisscross lines on his body came out of the dark and stopped Sasuke. Sasuke also had some impressions of this weird person. This guy seems to be an intelligence expert in Akatsuki's organization. In fact, this is definitely just a spore clone, and his deity is currently carrying out the ceremony of sealing the tailed beast with Obito and others, but Sasuke does not understand this. But in terms of Sasuke's character, how does this matter to him? Alright, he doesn't care about these trivial things. At this time, the avatar of Baiju had already walked up to Sasuke and said in a complaining tone, "Afaiki told you to stay here and cultivate well, don't run around." Bang! Hearing the name Afe, a spiral mask and a scarlet writing wheel appeared in Sasuke's mind. Sasuke is also impressed by Obito, and his eyes were transplanted for him by that guy, but that's all. Sasuke has never been interested in this guy who hides his head and shows his tail and pretends to be mysterious, so he moved out in Baiju's clone. After the name of the soil, although Sasuke was still expressionless, there was some disdain in his eyes. No one can change what he decides by himself, not even Uchiha-chen, let alone someone who has only done a transplant for him without any intersection. Looking indifferently at the weirdo who was blocking his way, Sasuke said coldly, "Go away." Baiju's spore clone shook his head and said with a weird smile, "That's not good. Afe said that you should stay here, so I can't let you leave here. Go away, for the sake of that guy transplanting my eyes for me, I won't kill you." Facing Baiju's obstruction, Sasuke's expression still didn't change at all, but his tone became even colder. Obviously he didn't put his face in front of him. Baiju's avatar in his eyes. It's really scary, but you can't leave here until Afe didn't tell you to leave. If you insist on leaving, then I can only force you back. However, facing Sasuke he scolded him, but Baiju's clone did not move away, and it seemed that he was determined to stop Sasuke. "Humph, you dare to stop me just because you don't know how to live or die. If you want to die, then do what you want." Sasuke seemed a little impatient. An inexplicable person treated him as a prisoner. If it was replaced by him, he had already killed the other party. If you don't know each other, you can't blame him. Facing Sasuke's threat, Baiju's clone didn't care and said with a strange smile, "I'm not alone." While speaking, footsteps suddenly sounded behind the avatar of Baiju, and then one by one strange people walked out of the dark and came to the side of the avatar of Baiju, and the appearance of these people was no different from the previous avatar of Baiju. Also with a weird smile on his face, blocking the exit, and there are still a lot of them. Chapter 312, Sasuke's Departure. With the sound of footsteps, more than a dozen Baiju clones came out of the dark, blocked the exit, and looked at Sasuke with a playful expression. These Baiju clones were different from the deity, although their strength was not very young. However, he inherited Baiju's frivolous character and became even more arrogant. Apart from implementing the deity's will, he didn't have too much consciousness. He didn't seem to put anyone in his eyes. Seeing the posture of these spore clones, Sasuke laughed angrily. He, who was originally expressionless, showed a grim smile at this time. He was in a bad mood. When Baiju clone stopped him just now, I just wanted to kill someone, but I resisted the urge to do it because of Obito's desire to transplant eyes for him. But now, the other party is so recklessly challenging his patience, which Sasuke can't bear. Sasuke looked at the group of spore clones in front of him with a sneer, and said in a calm but disdainful tone, "The number of people seems to be quite large, I hope you will be resistant to fighting." "Bastard, how dare you underestimate us?" Facing Sasuke's contempt for the group of spore clones, he was directly angry, and all the spore clones rushed towards Sasuke. Although my eyes are still a little uncomfortable, I don't need to deal with your trashy fish." Sasuke sneered, suddenly pulled out the grass pheasant sword behind his waist and greeted him. After a while, Sasuke snorted coldly, reinserted the grass pheasant sword into the scabbard behind his waist slowly, and walked out of the cave step by step, and behind him were the broken limbs on the ground. After walking out of the cave, Sasuke looked up at the sky and felt the fresh air. He slowly calmed down and said in a low voice, "I want to ask those who know the truth in person, but before, I have to see that disgusting guy first. I know you won't disappear so easily, Orochimaru." After a few days. After several days of uninterrupted sealing ceremony, the people organized by Chen and Xiao finally sealed the two-tailed beasts, and the outsider golem under their feet also opened two eyes. I am finally done. Sealing two-tailed beasts in a row is a bit overwhelming. After completing the last process and completely sealing the tailed beast, Baiju of Xiao organization was the first to speak. Keeping a stance without eating or drinking for several days, and having to continuously deliver chakra to maintain it, no matter who it is a bit too much for them, even if they are strong ninjas. The strength of this level is not a problem for them, but they still feel a little tired. Chen twisted his neck, which had become a little stiff from holding the posture for a long time, and said coldly, "HMPH, don't ask me again if this kind of thing happens in the future." The matter of sealing the tailed beast was originally a matter for Xiao to organize himself. He only helped Xiao to organize once Obito asked him to collect the chakra of the tailed beast, but he did not expect that the sealing of the tailed beast would be so troublesome and used for that long. Obito glanced at Chen, didn't care about Chen's attitude, and said indifferently, "Whatever you want. Anyway, the tailed beast has already collected 7 heads, which is enough to make the outsider golem run, and it doesn't have to be so troublesome to seal the tailed beast." Quote. Humph tilde, Chen just snorted coldly and didn't speak anymore. "Okay, we've been here for a long time. During this time, we didn't know anything about the situation outside. It's time to prepare to meet those people for a while," Obito said and started on his own. Shinwei, left on his own. The rest of the people looked at each other and had nothing to say. In the end, they all disappeared into the secret cave by their own means. In the huge cave, only the huge outsider golems remained. After Chen left the Xiao organization, he did not go to reconcile with Shuiyu and the others, but returned to Yinnan village in Tianjiguo, because he had more important things to do. At this time, because all the Yinren village had been sent to the battlefield by Chen, the whole village had become extremely deserted, but Chen did not care about this, and went directly to a wide underground base in Yinren village. Start doing what you want to do. Looking at this wide underground base, Chen thought about it, and a few chakra collectors appeared in his hands instantly. This is the tailed beast chakra he just got from the outsider golem organized by Xiao. This is also Obito promised him. Looking at the chakra collector in his hand, Chen had a happy expression on his face, and said in a low voice, I finally got it, and the most critical step is left." After placing all the chakra collectors on the ground, Chen began to contact the system, because as Chen's strength became stronger and stronger, he rarely needed to use the system, so the system was in a state of flux for a long time. A state of hibernation, and today, he woke up the system again. Host. When Chen woke up the system, the long-lost electronic synthesis sound sounded in Chen's consciousness. Chen didn't waste any time and went straight to the topic. "System, I have the remaining tailed beast chakra now, and clone the remaining tailed beast as well." Understood. The system's reply was also concise and capable, without too much nonsense. After directly deducting the corresponding points, it began to clone the tailed beast. Since Chen took away the entire ore vein of the Jirel stone at a very early stage, and converted it into points, it reached an astonishing amount, so Chen has never had to worry about points at all, because with Gear he has inexhaustible points for his mine, and over the years, he has continuously enhanced his strength with the points exchanged by Geral's stone chain. He has already redeemed all the things that can increase his strength. Now only the tailed beast is left unfinished. With the control of the system, and a moment later with a huge chakra fluctuation, 3 tailed beasts suddenly appeared in front of Chen. These 3 tailed beasts are 5 tails, King Mu. 6 tails, Rhino, Naneo, Shiga Ming. All of these 3 behemoths exuded bursts of coercion, and all of a sudden, 3 majestic chakras filled the entire underground base. At the same time, on the other side, Obito had already learned from Baiju that Sasuke had left the No base, and he did not know where to go at this time, but for Sasuke, Obito no longer valued so much, and casually ordered Baiju to let him dispatch a clone going to look for it. Will not pay too much attention, because the war has come, and there are many things waiting for him to deal with. At this time, Obito appeared in the underground cave. Opposite him was the Orochido, who mastered the forbidden art of reincarnation of the dirty soil. At this time, there was a female ninja who had obviously lost consciousness lying under Do's feet. Obito glanced at the unconscious female ninja and asked suspiciously, "This is Konoha's ninja, Midori Red Beans. It's her. How could she be here?" Obito didn't seem to be unfamiliar with the name, but he was even more puzzled. Obviously, he couldn't figure out why Orochimaru brought her here. In fact, the Red Beans were not captured by Orochimaru, because the war had already begun. Under the analysis of Konoha's genius military advisor Nara Shikisa, he guessed the location of the base camp of the Akatsuki organization. The Red Beans were only used as a member of the reconnaissance team. Was dispatched to investigate. In the end, they did find Orochimaru. Unfortunately, Orochimaru's strength has not been as good as it used to be, and it is far from what that team can handle. The final result is that the reconnaissance team was wiped out. Maybe it's because Midori also followed Orochimaru, or for some reason, Orochimaru did not kill Midori Red Bean after finishing all the investigation team, but made her lose consciousness and took it back. It was also mentioned in the original comics that Red Bean has a curse mark under Orochimaru on his body, which contains the power of Orochimaru. As long as he absorbs the power of the curse mark, he can enhance his own strength and control the reincarnation of dirty soil. Daijin, he originally planned to catch the Mitsuwashi Red Bean in person, but he didn't expect that he hadn't made a move yet, and the Mitsuwashi Red Bean was delivered to the door by himself first, which left him a lot of trouble. Nara Shikahisa, Konoha's strongest brain really lives up to its reputation, and he can find it here. I really can't underestimate it. I can't stay here anymore, I have to find a new place, I don't allow any mistakes in the next thing. The big snake smiled and said, "Don't worry, I have a place where there is absolutely no problem, I will go there when the current matter is resolved." After listening to Dashedu's explanation, Obito didn't ask any more questions. He didn't take this kind of little guy to heart at all. As long as Dashedu didn't interfere with his plan, Obito didn't bother to ask about his affairs. He was more concerned about the current battle situation. Because the ceremony of sealing the tailed beasts is being carried out these days, during this period of time, the outside world has always been controlled by the big snake pocket, and now he has rushed over after completing the sealing ceremony. Knowing the current situation from Dashedu's mouth, Obito thought for a while, and then said to Dashedu in a deep voice, "The time has come, it's time for the reincarnated people of the dirty earth to appear." Orochimaru pushed his eyes habitually, still wearing a mysterious smile on his face. Got it. Quote ellipsis. Chapter 313, Those Who Are Reincarnated by Dirty Earth. The Ninja World War has already started, and the reincarnated army has actually appeared on the battlefield, but because of the seal of the tailed beast these days, Obito has not come forward to control the situation for the time being. It's just some ordinary ninjas, and those with high-end combat power have not yet been sent to the field, and Obito is looking for a pocket this time to speed up the action. The big snake pushed up his glasses, with a weird smile on his face, and said softly, "Understood." As the hands of the big snake pocket quickly formed a seal, accompanied by a roar, the coffins behind him continued to break out of the ground, and then the coffin lids were opened uniformly, and familiar figures slowly walked out of the coffin. The eyes that were originally dull and godless also gradually appeared with light and radiance. The power emanating from these reincarnated characters indicates that these deceased people were all famous geniuses or strong men during their lifetimes. These reincarnated people include the old members of the Shao organization. There are also high-ranking figures in the history of the ninja world. Among them, there are many shadow-level powerhouses in various villages, such as Sanjiao Yuhanzo, Grandma Chio and others. Well, What is this place? Am I dead? The powerhouses of all dynasties who were summoned by the reincarnation of the dirty earth all looked around after their eyes regained their sanity, and couldn't help but feel puzzled, because they all had one thing in common in their memories, that is, they had already died. Impression, and now they should be dead. They have come back to this world at this time. Even those strong people who have experienced strong winds and waves can't help but be surprised. This feeling, it seems that we have been recalled from Longquan. I remember that this should be a forbidden technique developed by Konoha's second-generation Hokage. It was able to summon the dead from the underworld. What an amazing technique. HMPH, reincarnation from the filth. It's unforgivable to play with the soul of the dead. The astonishment didn't last long. After a short period of astonishment, these powerhouses also came back to their senses. As the top figures in the ninja world, with their abilities and experience, they quickly understood their current status. There are many people who have heard of the forbidden art of reincarnation from dirty earth. Uchiha Itachi, who originally died after fighting Sasuke, was also among the reincarnated people. After slowly walking out of the coffin, he looked at Obito and Orochimaru in front of him. Still without any expression, he just looked at Obito indifferently, and whispered to himself, "Have you come to this point after all? It seems that war is inevitable. I just hope that the situation will not be too bad." Although Itachi's voice was not loud, the dried persimmon ghost shark, who was also reincarnated from the dirt beside him, seemed to hear it. The ghost shark, who was looking at the surrounding environment, turned his head and said to Itachi with a grin, "It's Itachi. I didn't expect that we would have a chance to meet again. It looks like you are dead. Who is so capable to kill you? Is it your brother?" Quote. The ghost shark's words interrupted Itachi's thoughts. Turned his head to look at the ghost shark. There was no wave in his eyes. He just said indifferently, "This kind of thing is no longer meaningless, and it seems that this is not the time to reminisce." Seeing Uchiha Itachi's emotionless tone, the ghost shark seemed to be used to it and didn't care, just chuckled and said to himself, That's what I said, I didn't expect us to do it this way. It's really unpleasant to come to this world again, and even the dead will be enslaved." Itachi didn't speak, but turned his eyes to Obito's direction again, and finally locked his eyes on Orochimaru's body. "Is this pharmacist's pocket? But why does it seem to give me a different feeling? This gloomy feeling is like that guy from Orochimaru. It seems that the practitioner of the reincarnation of the dirty earth should be him." Although on the surface he didn't show any expression, but Itachi thought something in his heart, thinking to himself. In fact, it is not difficult to guess this kind of thing. Itachi had a relationship with Orochimaru as teammates for a period of time. He knew a little about Orochimaru, and also knew that Orochimaru had studied the forbidden technique of reincarnation of dirty earth, and the pharmacist pocket was the closest to Orochimaru's subordinate. Then it is not surprising that he will use the dirt to reincarnate. Itachi, who can act as a double agent between Konoha and Uchiha, and is undercover in Akatsuki's organization, is intelligent, rational, and thoughtful. Live the breath of the big snake pocket. On the other side, the rest of the ninjas also noticed the existence of Orochimaru and Obito, and locked their eyes on these two. The mother-in-law Chiyo of Sandian village raised her hands and looked at the lines in her hands with lost eyes. The dry crack, muttered to himself, as the dirt reincarnated. In the end, the originally lost eyes narrowed, and sternly stared at Obito and Orochimaru in front of him, and said in a deep voice, "All of this is your fault. What are your intentions?" Hearing Granny Chiyo's questioning, the big snake looked at her and said with a chuckle, "So it's Granny Chiyo. There's no need to tell you if we have any plans for this kind of thing. The dead should have the consciousness of the dead. Just obediently be our pawn." Hearing this, Granny Chiyo was stunned for a moment, sighed slightly, and returned to her previous absent-minded state, and said in a sad low voice, "That's right, no matter what your intentions are, you can't change the current state of the old man." "What? I didn't expect that I would be 1,000 generations and become an evil minion after my death. It's really sad." The red sand scorpion, who was also reincarnated from the dirty soil, glanced indifferently at his former subordinate, the big snake pocket, and his younger generation, a fae, and said in a slightly disdainful tone, "To be used by such a weak bean sprout, Xiao is really depraved, besides living only Jew and my heir a fae will come down." The old partner beside the scorpion of the red sand, also known as Didera, who was the artist himself, heard the words and said with a serious expression, "Speaking of the eternal beauty and art, but the result is that they die without artistic value. Just shut up, and you have an Achilles heel in your chest, After saying that, Didera nodded solemnly, completely unaware of the current situation. After hearing Didera's complaints, Scorpion couldn't hold back his indifferent expression. He turned his head and said to Didera in a stern tone, "Didera, do you want to die?" In the face of the threat of the scorpion, Didera didn't care, and still complained, "Isn't it already dead? You and I are both, Then shut up for me." The two did not expect that after their death, they would still habitually expose and bicker with each other. Seeing the performance of these people, Obito was a little surprised, turned around and asked Orochimaru, "Is this situation really okay?" Orochimaru chuckled and replied, "There are too many reincarnations of filthy earth, it's a little troublesome to control. Now I just focus on controlling their actions. I will take full control in the future. This also varies from person to person, and there are individuals who are suitable for doing the opposite. Only by retaining emotions can they cause chaos for the enemy, which is their weakness." Quote. "Is that so? Yesterday's comrades in arms and relatives have now become undead enemies. It's really cruel." Hearing this, Obito's eyes showed a strange light, and he seemed to be thinking about something in his heart, but on the surface he was not questioning anything. The rest of the ninjas also figured out who they were summoned back to this world from Longquan. Except for a few ninjas, the rest were all expressing their anger, nothing more than their own death and being manipulated and used by others. These people are all powerful people, and they are naturally very angry at such a thing. They can't wait to swarm the two culprits, Orochimaru and Obito, to shreds. It's a pity that they were all reincarnated by Orochimaru. Although their consciousness was clear, their bodies were not under their own control and could not be used as any attack at all, so they could only verbally threaten Obito and Orochimaru. Obito and Dashido, who were threatened, did not care about this kind of verbal clamor that was not painful or itchy. Dashido looked at the angry crowd, still kept a smile, and said in a playful tone, "Everyone here is a strong party. You should also recognize the fact, since you all relied on my filthy soil to reincarnate, then naturally I have the final say. You have no room for resistance at all, just be our pawns." Quote. As soon as Do's voice fell, his hands suddenly changed several gestures, and the bodies of those who were reincarnated by the dirty soil suddenly burst, and then everyone started to move uncontrollably, rushing to the exit of the secret cave, and then scattered to the all directions, start executing their respective commands. After the ninjas who were reincarnated by the dirty earth left, the big snake pushed up his glasses and said with a chuckle, "Okay, I should hide now. If there is nothing else, then I should go too." After he finished speaking, a giant white phosphorus snake suddenly appeared from the cloak of the big snake's pocket, rolled up the unconscious Midori red beans on the ground, and turned to leave. Wait a minute. Just as Orochimaru was about to leave, Obito opened his mouth, and Orochimaru was about to leave his footsteps. He slowly turned around and looked at Obito again, still with an evil expression on his face. With a smile, he said in a frivolous tone, "Is there anything else you want to order?" Quote ellipsis. Chapter 314, Beware of Each Other. At this time, Obito's eyes also looked at Orochimaru. To be more precise, it was Midori Red Bean's body that was entangled by the white-scaled snake in Orochimaru. Finally, he turned his eyes to Orochimaru with a strange look in his eyes. After a while of silence, Obito said in a calm tone, "Are you going to take her with you?" Hearing this, Orochimaru glanced at the comatose Midori Red Bean with interest. The white-scaled big snake wrapped around the ninja moved a little, and seemed to squeeze the Midori Red Bean even more tightly, making the unconscious Midori Red Bean subconscious. He let out a cold snort, and the expression on his face became painful. This woman was selected by Lord Orochimaru's spell, and there is still Lord Orochimaru's chakra in her body, which is still useful to me, so I must take it away. Although I don't know why Obito suddenly became interested in red beans, but the big snake pocket still explained. Obito obviously didn't care about Obito's explanation, but said in an unquestionable tone, "No, you can't take her with you. You must kill her immediately, otherwise there will inevitably be a risk of exposure." In the face of Obito's strength, Orochimaru did not compromise and said softly, "I can't kill her yet, I want to keep her alive, take the opportunity to absorb Lord Orochimaru's chakra, and recycle it later." Pushing the glasses, Orochimaru continued, "It can be said that my body is the body of Lord Orochimaru. In order to enhance my own strength, I must do this, as long as I can absorb the power of Lord Orochimaru, so that the reincarnation of the filthy earth will be affected by this. The binding force is stronger, and increasing the combat power is equivalent to increasing the contribution to you, and the more important thing." Speaking of this, a flash of coldness flashed in Dashidu's eyes. The reincarnation of dirty soil requires the body of a living person. This woman's body is just a good sacrifice. This is the reason why I don't kill this woman. After listening to Orochimaru's explanation, Obito was silent for a while. In fact, he didn't care about the life and death of Miter washing Red Bean. The people who were reincarnated from the dirty soil of Orochimaru just now made him think of something. Yesterday's comrades in arms and relatives, now that he has become an undead enemy, and the cooperation between him and Orochimaru is only a verbal agreement. Originally, Obito only used Orochimaru as a role to use, but after seeing the power of the reincarnation of the dirty earth, he also beware of the big snake pocket. He felt very uncomfortable about this feeling of being out of his control. After all, his plan was very important, and there was no room for a little bit of error. The Miter washing Red Bean was just a test for him. Therefore, Obito didn't care at all about the value of Orochimaru's explanation of the value of Miten washed red beans, and just said indifferently, "Today's comrades in arms are likely to become tomorrow's enemies, and you can completely put me at a disadvantage for your own interests." Orochimaru is not a fool, but is exceptionally shrewd, and Obito said it so clearly, he instantly understood the meaning of Obito's words, and his expression changed from frivolous to a little dignified, and said, "It seems that you are not trustworthy enough." What do you want me to do?" "The art of reincarnation of the dirty earth. I want you to prove to me on the spot whether it really needs to use the body of a living person, and tell me all its secrets, of course, including the method to remove this art." This is the purpose of Obito, and he can only feel at ease when he holds the things that can break the balance, such as the reincarnation of dirty soil, in his own hands. Hearing that what Obito wanted turned out to be the reincarnation technique of dirty soil, Orochimaru's expression changed, and the smile on his face disappeared completely, and he said in a deep voice, "What if I refuse?" You must know that this filthy reincarnation technique is his current bargaining chip. He is very clear about it. It is precisely because of this forbidden technique that he is qualified to negotiate conditions with the other party. Once he loses this bargaining chip, his situation will also become somewhat different. Passive, but Orochimaru is not an ordinary person after all. In addition to the bargaining chip of the reincarnation of the dirty earth, he actually has a backhand. The cards in his hand are not just the reincarnation of the dirty earth on the bright side. It seems that he had expected that Orochimaru would not hand over the dirty soil to reincarnate so easily, so Obito was not in a hurry, but the momentum on his body changed, and he continued to put pressure on Orochimaru, and said in a calm tone, "Not only will you never be able to get you what you want, and even what you want can change. Become your life." Speaking of this, Obito's eyes condensed, and the only exposed writing wheel eye that was originally in the state of 3 hooks was transformed into a kaleidoscope shape, and at the same time, there was a faint killing intent on his body, staring at the big snake pocket. At this time, the two were silent with each other, and the atmosphere became tense as Obito changed. "It is not a wise move to be an enemy of Xiao now. I still have other trump cards. There is no need to rush for a while. It's okay to tell him about the technique of reincarnation. The big snake's eyes flickered, and after thinking for a while in his heart, he soon decided. Okay, I promise you, but there are no sacrifices at the moment. Speaking of which, the big snake pocket turned his eyes to the red beans wrapped around his white-scaled big snake and continued. I said it before, this woman still has something to do with me. It can't be used as a sacrifice for the reincarnation of the dirty earth. Seeing that Obito had compromised, Obito also withdrew the pressure. He didn't care about the life and death of Miter washing red beans. Since the Orochimaru didn't want to kill the woman now, he didn't force Orochimaru. After all, Orochimaru had already if he made a step backward, then he would naturally have to pay respects to exchanges and give Orochi a face. I see, I will prepare the sacrifices, wait for me first. While talking to Orochimaru, Obito unleashed his divine power and disappeared in place in a flash, thinking that he was going to prepare the so-called superb. After Obito left, Orochimaru looked at the place where Obito had disappeared, and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes, but soon, he returned to his original frivolous expression, as if nothing had happened. Obito didn't leave for a long time. He came back after about 10 minutes. He should have found the sacrifice. At the same time, he brought back 2 men dressed as ninjas, but it seemed that he had lost consciousness. It should be the illusion of the wheel eye. Just use these 2 people to prove it to me, Obito said as he stretched out his hand and clasped one of the ninjas' necks and twisted it hard, only to hear a crisp sound of bones shattering. The bones were directly twisted by the soil, and then thrown away. The body was thrown under the feet by the soil like a broken sack, and there was no time for the snake to react at all. Chapter 315, The Secret of Reincarnation of Dirty Earth. After Obito killed the unknown ninja, he left the corpse at the foot of the big snake pocket, then pointed to another living person controlled by illusion and said in an unquestionable tone, "Come on, I have already prepared for the operation. Get you ready. Now I want you to use this guy to reincarnate the man I just killed." Although Uchiha Obito was very upset in his heart, Orochimaru did not express his dissatisfaction on his face. He looked blankly at the corpse of the ninja killed by Obito, and sarcastically said in an indifferent tone, "It's really cold-blooded." Quote. After controlling the white-scaled serpent to gently place the red beans on the ground, the serpent walked towards the corpse in an unhurried step, and then controlled the white-scaled serpent to roll up the corpse on the ground with one hand. He took out a scroll from his bosom and explained to Obito, "Let me make it clear first that reincarnation of the filth is classified in the category of psychics. To summon the soul of the deceased from the pure land of the underworld back to the filthy land of this world, we must first it as a part of the person being resuscitated, in short, a certain amount of flesh." During the conversation, the other hand that was originally empty in the snake pocket raised, and a handful of kuwu suddenly appeared in his hand, and then he held the kuwu and gently stabbed the corpse that was rolled up by the white-scaled snake because of this. The corpse had just been killed by Obito, and the blood naturally did not solidify. After the kuwu of the big snake pocket pierced the body, the dark red blood flowed out from the wound and dripped onto the ground along the kuwu. The kunai was soon smeared with the blood of the dead. If this element cannot be satisfied, then you cannot be reincarnated, and those whose souls are not in the pure land of the underworld, that is, those whose souls are sealed in other places, cannot be reincarnated. Lord Orochimaru once wanted to reincarnate the 4th generation of Hokage from the dirty land, but ultimately failed, because he has been sealed by the ghoul, and his soul has been controlled by the god of death, and in the Konoha collapse plan, the 3rd generation Naruto Sarutobi also cast the ghoul seal. The first Hokage and the second Hokage together with the 3 generations Naruto's own soul was also controlled by the god of death. Orochimaru pulled out the blood-stained kunai, and explained the secret of the reincarnation to Obito while smearing the blood of Kunwu on the scroll. After hearing Dashidu's explanation, Obito also understood some information, and said in a deep voice, "That means the Hokage from the 1st generation to the 4th generation cannot be reincarnated by the dirty soil." That's right. The art of reincarnation from the dirty earth was obviously ready. After the blood-stained scroll was spread out on the ground, And after the serpent formed the necessary seals for the reincarnation of the dirty earth, a mysterious talisman appeared out of thin air and sent that name. The sacrificial ninjas were surrounded by them. After the spell flashed a strange light, pieces of filthy soil like thin paper quickly wrapped the sacrificial ninja. After a while, the pieces of filthy soil gradually peeled off. The ninja who originally served as a sacrifice has disappeared, replaced by the ninja who Obito just killed. The only difference is that the cracked lines on the face of the ninja reincarnated from the dirt indicate the identity of this person. This, here is. Obviously, the reincarnated ninja seemed to have regained consciousness, but he didn't know his current situation. But the big snake pocket obviously didn't give him a chance. Before the reincarnator could react, he had already stabbed the reincarnator with the kunai in his hand, and there was still a mysterious card at the end of the handle. Spell. After the talisman kunai pierced into his body, the terrified ninja instantly stopped all movements and stood motionless like a statue. Since then, the demonstration of the reincarnation of the dirty earth has ended, and it has been quite successful. Obito looked at the ninja who was reincarnated by the dirty soil in silence, and did not speak, and just after finishing the reincarnation of the dirty soil, the big snake pocket immediately turned to face Obito, with an intriguing smile on his face again, and said softly, "That's it, use the living as a container for the souls of the dead, and the reincarnation of the filth is complete." Obito observed the ninja reincarnated from the dirty soil. After the big snake pocket stabbed the charmed kunai into the reincarnated body, the originally frightened ninja calmed down instantly, as if his consciousness had been wiped out, and asked curiously, "This spell? Could it be said that it is used to suppress the personality?" It can be said that this ninjutsu is the biggest and strongest move in the ninja world. It was designed by the second-generation Hokage and completed by Orochimaru-sama. This is the biggest legacy they left to the world, and this spell is not only used to suppress the personality, but also to restore the strength of the reincarnator as much as possible, including the special ability of the reincarnator. Whether it is a secret technique or a bloodline limit can be preserved, such as Uchiha Itachi's writing wheel eye. Unfortunately, I can't find the body of Uchiha Shisui, even Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, and Yamato Tenzo, who can use the wooden escape. The bodies of these two people are also missing. There's nothing in their graveyard. There was a disappointment in Oriku's tone, and it was obviously a pity that the bodies of these people were not found. If he could reincarnate the Yamato Tianzang in his impression and Jiraiya, who is as famous as Orochimaru, then his trump card will definitely be stronger. Hearing Dashedu's complaint, Obito's expression changed slightly under the mask, and his brows also wrinkled, as if he was disgusted by Dashedu's disrespect for the deceased. It is said that these famous people were all powerful people who were famous in their lifetime and deserved the respect they deserved, not that even their souls were toyed with after death, and they could not be at peace. Although what he did was not much different from the big snake pocket, but he was still a little uncomfortable. Enough, let's stop. This kind of thing doesn't need to be reported to me. When Dashedu was about to continue speaking, Obito interrupted him, and even aggravated his tone, obviously not wanting to hear these topics that made him feel a little uncomfortable. Obito obviously didn't expect Obito to have such a reaction, and was stunned for a moment, but after thinking about it, he had already guessed Obito's psychology. Obito couldn't help but secretly felt ridiculous and disdain for Obito's reaction, but he didn't anymore. Continuing the topic, he looked at Obito jokingly, and said with a frivolous smile, "Forget it, it's a pity not to get the bodies of these people, but it doesn't matter, anyway, there are enough chess pieces." Uchiha Obito didn't care about Orochimaru's attitude, and asked in a deep voice, "This technique of reincarnation is so useful, is there any risk?" Speaking of his pride, Orochimaru chuckled frivolously, and then explained, "Hee. The most perfect thing about this technique is that the caster is not in any danger." Obito was a little surprised that such a powerful ninjutsu didn't have any risk. How is it possible? Orochimaru smiled and said to Obito, "Actually it is true. There is no harm in the reincarnation of dirty soil. If you have to point out what's not good, it is that this ninjutsu is too powerful, and the name of the caster will inevitably be stolen. Everyone knows that one day I will become as famous as Madara Uchiha, and I don't want to see such a thing happen. It will make me the target of public criticism." Having said that, the frivolous tone of Orochimaru and a trace of complacency in his eyes showed his pride. After listening to Dashidu's words, Obito's eyes narrowed slightly, and he said coldly, "HMPH, you'd better not be too aggressive. Everything has a counterproductive effect, and some things will only be counterproductive if you do too much. In short, you must not take it lightly." HMPH, thank you for your advice. Seriously, if you want to say that there is a real risk in the reincarnation of Dirty Earth, that is, I will reveal its secrets to you. Speaking of which, the expression of the big snake pocket also restrained the smile, with a look on his face. Dull, obviously he was still unhappy about Obito asking him to hand over the reincarnation of the dirt. "Okay, it's almost time for me to leave. Low-key people should hide in dark places the most. Wait, you don't seem to have explained to me how to stop the reincarnation of the Dirty Earth." "Oh, I almost forgot." Orochimaru laughed at himself and continued, "Even if you kill the caster, you can't stop this ninjutsu, but even so, it's actually very simple to cancel this technique. Just manipulate me, this spellcaster, press Shu, Wu, Yin, just use solution for example. Use your Shaker's Eye to manipulate me, and the rest, just seal all the souls that have been reincarnated from the dirt." "I hope what you said is the truth." After listening to Dashidu's words, Obito stared at Dashidu coldly, with a clear tone and a hint of threat. "Don't worry, I don't have the guts to lie to you." Orochimaru looked at Obito playfully, and at the same time launched ninjutsu. A gray-white coffin appeared out of nowhere, pretending to be the ninja who had just been reincarnated from the dirt. After entering, the coffin slowly sank into the ground and disappeared without a trace. "I've already told you all the secrets of the reincarnation of the dirty soil, I'm leaving." After telling Obito all the secrets of the reincarnation of the dirty soil, Orochimaru was already planning to leave, and with the white-scaled snake on his body, the red bean on the ground was replaced by the red bean. Rolled up, said hello to Obito, and turned to leave. After getting what he wanted, Obito didn't stop Orochimaru this time, but silently watched the figure who was leaving him thinking. Chapter 116, Awareness. After Dashidu left the cave, a forest appeared in front of him. At this time, the frivolous expression on Dashidu's face hidden under the cloak had disappeared at this time. His eyes were cold and gloomy, and he seemed a little gloomy. The threat he received made him very unhappy, but Orochimaru was a senior spy after all, and his degree of tolerance was not beyond ordinary, so when Obito threatened him, he simply handed over the reincarnation of the dirty soil. "As long as I have the reincarnation of the dirty earth and that ninjutsu, I will be invincible. One day, I will understand the truth of the 6 paths immortals, and even the real Uchiha Madara will not be afraid." Thinking of what he planned, the big snake felt hot in his heart. He glanced back at the hole he just came out of, and there was a hint of coldness in his eyes, but he was quickly hidden. Just disappeared. In the cave at this time, after the big snake pocket left, a giant plant like a pitcher plant slowly emerged from the ground behind Obito. At this moment, Ju was still buried in the ground. Looking at the direction where the big snake was leaving, Heiju said in his hoarse voice, "That guy seems to be hiding something." Obito didn't turn around, still looking at the direction where the big snake was leaving, and said indifferently, "HMPH, as expected, if he doesn't have any trump cards, how dare he ask me to cooperate, and even the secret of dirty soil reincarnation is hesitant to hand over." After Heiju heard Obito's words, he said jokingly, "Oh, do you believe what he said?" At this time, Obito also took his eyes back, turned to look at Ju behind him, and said, "Pharmacist 2 is a smart man. He understands his situation very well, although he doesn't know what he is planning, but since he found it that must be using our power, he is not afraid to fight against us now, at least he can still be trusted before his purpose is achieved." Quote. Heiju said with great interest, "I see, but since you already know that his purpose is not simple, why don't you just figure it out directly? as he said, it should be easy to control him with a shaker. Obito didn't agree with Heiju's words, and said in a deep voice, some things can't be done too much. If you push him too quickly, it will only backfire. Although it's not difficult to kill Orochimaru, it's just a matter of filth. Reincarnation is a hassle after all. No matter what, at least we are in a cooperative relationship now. We still need to rely on the power of reincarnation, and we still have more important things to do. It is not advisable to make extra efforts. Quote. Suo ga, it's up to you to decide. Obito continued to ask Highway, has Shiraiju spores already attached to that guy? Heiju was obviously familiar with doing this kind of thing. His hoarse voice gave a strange laugh and then replied, he tilde of course. Hey, no matter what, you have to keep one hand. You must not take it lightly. It's not easy for the pharmacist to take this guy. I really underestimated him before. Speaking of this, Obito's eyes flashed a hint of coldness. Obviously, he has never been interested in the big snake bag. They didn't fully trust them. Even if Orochimaru was in a cooperative relationship with them now, he knew that Orochimaru was using Xiao's organization, but he was also using Orochimaru, so he secretly let Heiju attach it to Orochimaru. White spores. After being silent for a while in the cave, Heiju spoke again and asked, what are you going to do about the Eye of Samsara? Madara has already come out. If you let him know that he was resurrected by the reincarnation of the dirt, it will be very difficult. Be angry. Obito seemed to ponder for a while, and then said indifferently, it's already at this point, and Nagato should also play its role. Tilde that's what I said, but Nagato will definitely not agree so easily. Obito snorted coldly and said in a stern tone, HMPH, then I can't help him. I understand, but what about Xiaonan? She is a trouble after all. With her by Nagato's side, things can't be done easily. The most important issue at the moment is the reincarnation eye. To control the 10 tails, the reincarnation eye is indispensable. In any case, it is imperative to recover the reincarnation eye. She better be calm, otherwise, I will solve her personally. Quote. Hearing Obito's words, Heiju smiled strangely, and said jokingly, is this about killing the donkey? Tilde it's really cold-blooded, but if you do it yourself, it should be foolproof. Then the next step, what to do? Facing Heiju's banter, Obito didn't care, looked at Heiju indifferently, and replied coldly, let them play a final role in our plan, and let Baiju find the 9-tailed man Zuli as soon as possible. The hiding place, let Nagato capture Ren Zuli, and you, lurking beside Nagato's body, if he can successfully capture Ren Zuli, it is best. If he fails again, then you will reincarnate eyes back. Understood. Heiju already knew what to do, so he planned to leave to carry out his mission. Wait a minute. When Heiju's body was about to sink back into the ground, Obito suddenly interrupted him. Oh, is there anything else? Heiju asked suspiciously. Obito paused for a while, then asked Heiju, what happened to Uchiha Chen? What is he doing now? After hearing this, Heiju replied, Uchiha Chen. He left after we sealed the tailed beast. That guy is very accomplished in space ninjutsu, and he is very alert. He has always been on guard against me. There is no chance to attach Baiju spores to him, so he can only be monitored by Baiju's clone. At present, he has returned to Yinan village, and he still doesn't know what he is planning, but his subordinate Yinan does not know Uchiha Chen. What kind of secret technique was used? The strength of all Yin ninjas has been greatly improved, and it should not be underestimated. Quote. Really? Obito heard the words, pondered for a while, and continued. What Uchiha Tatsu planned is definitely not simple. He seems to be just collecting the chakra of tailed beasts. I have a hunch, this Uchiha Sun's plan, the purpose is definitely not that simple. I was eager to get the tailed beast in his hands before, so I didn't think much about it, but now that I look back, there are indeed many doubts about this matter. Heiju thought about it for a while, and he did find it very strange, and said, that's right, he doesn't look like someone who easily compromises. I don't think you convinced him, but he really did. Just handing over the tailed beast so easily makes people feel suspicious. Quote. That can only explain one problem. The chakras of the tailed beasts captured in our hands are far more than the tailed beasts themselves to Uchiha Chen. He even exchanged the tailed beasts in his hands for some insignificant chakras. His purpose is just to be able to collect the chakra of the tailed beast captured by us, and take advantage of our eagerness to get the tailed beast in his hands, pretend to be persuaded by me, and then propose the conditions for collecting the tailed beast. His performance is all fake, just to relax our vigilance and make us not aware of his real purpose, this guy. Speaking of this, Obito's eyes were half squinted, obviously thinking of something. Chapter 317. Speculated Results. After thinking about it, it was obvious that Obito seemed to have sensed Chen's purpose. In fact, Chen's plan is really not very clever, and it can even be said that there are many loopholes, which can't stand scrutiny at all, as long as a person who is not stupid can detect it carefully. And Obito himself is good at using conspiracy, otherwise it would be impossible to become the mastermind behind the Akatsuki organization, who is behind the scenes, but before his attention has been on the tailed beast in the hands of Uchiha Chen, eagerly thinking to get the tailed beast in Chen's hands, so I didn't think about it. And now, he has got the tailed beast he wanted, and the energy originally put on the tailed beast also naturally fell on Uchiha Chen, so after thinking about the contact between him and Uchiha Chen, what happened things, and soon thought of some doubts. For example, the strength shown by Uchiha Chen is nothing more than a means of diverting his attention. The more powerful he is, the less he thinks about it. After all, what he wanted most at that time was the tailed beast in Uchiha Chen's hands. Who wanted to pull Chen into his own camp, and he took the initiative to join forces, so he must try to meet Uchiha Chen's conditions, but while he was calculating Uchiha Chen, the other party was also calculating him. Then it was when the fake Yatai People's Uri was sealed. At that time, Uchiha Chen mocked the Akatsuki organization, which made Nagato, who had been teased because of the failure of the mission, even more angry, causing conflicts between the two sides, and it even reached the level of arguing. Now, if I hadn't come forward to comfort myself, it would be time for a fight. I thought it would be difficult for Uchiha to compromise, but I didn't expect that Uchiha's condition was just the broken foot of the 8 tails, which was useless in his eyes. Now that I think about it, Uchiha must have been deliberately provocative at that time. Arguably, his goal was actually the broken foot of the 8 tails. In fact, since then, Obito felt a little strange, but he didn't doubt it until he proposed to let Uchiha Chen hand over the tailed beast. At that time, Uchiha Chen was also very strong. At that time, he thought it was impossible to convince Uchiha Chen to hand over the tailed beast in his hand. He was sighing secretly that when Uchiha was difficult to deal with, the result of the final negotiation was beyond his expectations. He didn't expect that Uchiha was only slightly angry at the beginning. After a while, he was really convinced by himself, and the condition he proposed was also the insignificant tailed beast chakra. At that time, because I was eager to collect tailed beasts, although I was skeptical, in order to get 2 tails and 4 tails, Obito had no choice but to agree to this condition, and his goal was achieved, and his heart was extremely happy. Another non-stop sealing ceremony, so I haven't had time to think about it. In fact, judging from Uchiha Chen's previous behavior, he didn't seem like someone who would easily compromise, but Obito was immersed in the joy of achieving his goal, although he also understood that he didn't really give Uchiha Chen to him. Convinced, but these are no longer important. After all, the tailed beast has succeeded anyway, and his goal has been achieved. And Uchiha Chen must have been equally eager to get those tailed beasts' chakra, so he didn't do any clever cover-up at all, he just showed his dissatisfaction, symbolically, and then he agreed to this completely. It's an unreasonable transaction. Now that I think about it, it is not normal to use 2 real tailed beasts in exchange for some insignificant tailed beast's chakra. Out of the confidence of the Moon Eyes plan, in Obito's eyes, no matter what Uchiha Chen's requirements are, it cannot be compared to the value of the tailed beast. He always believes that no matter what conspiracy Uchiha Chen has, as long as he can complete the Moon Eye's plan, then any conspiracy and tricks are just futile, and it is precisely because of this that he has no scruples to agree to the condition of the tailed beast chakra proposed by Uchiha. Chen's methods are not considered brilliant at all, and any intentional outsider may detect it. Just like now, after connecting everything together, Obito realized Uchiha Chen's purpose, which is likely to be the tailed beast chakra. After he figured it out, Obito's eyes narrowed and he said in a low voice, his purpose is to collect the chakra of the tailed beast. Although he guessed that Uchiha Chen's purpose is likely to be the tailed beast chakra, why did Uchiha Chen collect the tailed beast chakra? In another doubt. There was no expression on Heiju's face, and he didn't think of Chen's purpose of collecting chakra for the time being, but said doubtfully, collecting tailed beast chakra. What's the use of collecting these chakras? Does he want to rely on these chakras? A little chakra and then create a tailed beast. How is that possible? Obito was secretly guessing Uchiha Chen's purpose. After hearing Heiju's inadvertent words, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and the expression on the face hidden under the mask suddenly changed color, and said anxiously, no. Maybe that's the truth. Heiju obviously did not expect that Obito would have such a big reaction when he said it casually, and said a little strangely, to create a tailed beast. This is too appalling. However, before he could finish speaking, Heiju suddenly thought of something, and his face also changed. Could it be that the two seem to have thought of the same thing? It's entirely possible. It is rumored that Uchiha Chen once summoned a nine-tailed to help when he attacked Union and Konoha, but Naruto Uzumaki, who is the pillar force of the nine-tailed man, still exists, and the nine-tailed are still being attacked. Sealed in his body, if the rumor that Uchiha Chen summoned the nine tails is not false, it means a problem. Nine tails, there are two ends. Speaking of this, whether it was Heiju or Uchiha Obito, the expressions of the two could not help but become solemn. Obviously, they seem to have realized the seriousness of the matter. Chapter 318, Decision After Speculation. Originally, the two of them had heard about that rumor from a very early time, but after all, it was only a rumor, not what they saw with their own eyes. Presumably, they already felt that things were beyond their control. This is so crazy. Heiju's face suddenly changed. Obviously, even he was horrified, creating a tailed beast, all of which was beyond his cognition, even if he himself was a person from the age of 6 path immortals, and he never listened. It was said that the tailed beast could be created. Even his mother Kagaya couldn't do such a thing. Ordinary people may not know it, but as the third son of Kagaya Otsutsuki, or the will of Princess Kagaya, he knows best that the 10 tails are actually transformed from the source tree of chakra, and the 10 tails are the divine tree. The divine tree is the root of all chakras. There is no second divine tree in this world, so the nine-tailed beast is also unique. Although in the original work, there are a lot of branches about tailed beasts, such as the artificial zero tail in the theatrical version, but it is something created by a certain careerist, using people's reliance on the darkness in people's hearts to produce huge darkness. Chakra. Although the ability looks awesome, it is far from the real tailed beast. The nine-tailed chakra in Naruto, who has not yet grown up, has exploded, as well as the fake 9 from the Temple of Fire. The Tailman Pillar Power, the tail beast transformation of the Golden Horn and the Silver Horn, and the 9 tails that were divided into 2 by the 4 generations of Hokage, this ultimately originated from the 9 tails themselves. And now that he learned that someone has the ability to create tailed beasts, how can this not make him feel shocked? Things are beyond his control. The two were silent. Obviously, this matter had made them a little overwhelmed. They were thinking hard for a while, but they had no idea for a short time. After a short silence, Obito said in a deep voice, "Uchiha Chen, this guy is too dangerous, he is the biggest threat to our Moon Eye plan." Heiju also said solemnly at this time, if Uchiha Chen really has the ability to create tailed beasts, what will be his ultimate goal? Apart from tailed beasts, does he hide anything more terrifying? Having said this, the two looked at each other, obviously thinking of the same thing. After pondering for a while, Heiju said in disbelief. No, it's impossible. There is only one outsider golem sealed by the 6 Paths Immortals, although it is unclear whether he really has the ability to create tailed beasts. Even if he really can, there is no outsider golem. The tailed beast is just a stronger chakra monster. It is impossible for the second head and 10 tails to appear. After all, this kind of thing is simply a fantasy. If this is true, how much change will be made to his secret plan? He does not dare to think about it. He can only comfort himself in his heart. Yes, there is no outsider golem. Even if Uchiha Chen really has the ability to copy tailed beasts, those tailed beasts are just stronger beasts. They are not worth mentioning compared to the complete 10 tails. We only need to first complete the Moon Eye plan in one step, then no matter what conspiracy Uchiha Chen has, it is nothing to be afraid of. Quote. After listening to Heiju's words, Obito seemed to gain a little confidence, and his originally frowning brows also relaxed, but his vigilance towards Uchiha Chen did not diminish, and he said in a deep voice, Uchiha Chen has now passed away from us. He got the tailed beast chakra he wanted in his hand. If he really has the ability to copy the tailed beast, I think he should be working now, and it is estimated that it will not be easy to create a monster of the level of the tailed beast. He certainly won't be doing anything anytime soon. Heiju suggested, do you want to send someone to approach him? Because he knew how powerful Uchiha was, the avatar of Baiju, who was sent to monitor Uchiha before, did not dare to monitor Uchiha at all, and could only observe it secretly from a long distance. In this way, in addition to knowing Uchiha's movements, there is no other useful information to be collected at all. This is the result of Uchiha Chen not deliberately hiding his tracks. Otherwise, with Chen's space ninjutsu, those Baiju clones would not be able to catch up with him at all. Obito shook his head and said, it's useless. You were discovered by him when you were in the Iron Country, and your abilities have already been seen by him. Baiju's clone has no chance to approach him at all, but will startle the snake. Heiju asked suspiciously, then what should we do next? We can't just leave him alone, can we? It's definitely not acceptable to leave Uchiha Chen alone. Call Baiju back and let him stare at Uchiha Chen in person. We are still in a cooperative relationship. As long as his goal is not achieved, it should not be torn apart. Shame, after all, he still needs us to restrain the attention of the 5 major countries. Let Baiju be careful, at least figure out what he is doing now. Obito obviously also thought of Heiju's words. After pondering for a while, he finally decided to let Baiju investigate in person. After thinking of Uchiha Chen's conspiracy, he was more powerful than the 5 kingdoms and the 8-tailed and 9-tailed people. He is more worried about the variable Uchiha Chen, and he is really worried if he doesn't know what Chen is doing. Although Heiju also agreed with Obito's arrangement, he still asked, what about that person Zuli? Don't you look for it? After a period of relaxation, Obito had calmed down his emotions at this time, and returned to a calm expression, and said in a deep voice, I can't wait any longer. Let Nagato personally take action and dispatch 6 pain attacks. The rear of the ninja coalition, if they can force the 2 people out, even if they don't come out, then use the ability of the human world to find out. I don't believe that no one in the huge ninja alliance will know the hiding of Renzuli. Place. Understood. Heiju already knew what to do, and after a deep reply, he slowly dived into the ground and went to complete his mission. After Heiju left, Obito thought back about Uchiha Chen, with a haze in his eyes, and said indifferently, we declared war with the 5 great powers, which almost attracted the attention of the 5 great powers. At this time, he fell silent instead. He was using us as a shield. While we were at war with the 5 major countries, he had no time to care about him, and secretly lurked to complete his plan. This guy had a premeditated plan. In the end, Obito didn't stop there, and after a while of space fluctuations, disappeared in place. Chapter 319, Information brought by the bird. After Heiju left, Obito thought back about Uchiha Chen, and there was a haze in his eyes, as if he was thinking about some premeditated plan. Obviously, he also felt oppressed at this time. With the speculation that Uchiha Chen could copy the tailed beast broke, this feeling of being out of control made him feel a little uneasy. Although it was used by Uchiha, no matter what, Uchiha fulfilled his promise and handed over all the tailed beasts, which also made Obito feel a little comforted. After all, he has collected 7 of the 9 tailed beasts. There are only the last 2 tailed beasts left, so his goal can be achieved. What he has to do now is to capture the remaining 2 tailed beasts as soon as possible. As long as the 10 tails can be fully resurrected, by then, Obito believes that no matter what conspiracy and tricks Uchiha Chen has, he will be vulnerable in front of Jouei. Thinking of this, Obito snorted coldly and said sternly, "Uchiha Chen, you really are not a simple character, but your biggest mistake is to hand over the tailed beast. You will definitely regret this decision." After speaking, Obito didn't stop. His eyes entered a state of kaleidoscope, and he activated his space ninjutsu. With a wave of space fluctuations, a spiral-shaped space black hole gradually formed. After sucking Obito into the black hole, then disappears. In a big forest in the ninja world. There is obviously a battle going on here. A dozen ninjas on one side are besieging a ninja holding a giant sword. The 2 sides are fighting to the death. There is a huge disparity in numbers between the 2 sides. A ninja with a large sword and surrounded by a group of people seems dangerous, but it turns out just the opposite. Because after the confrontation between the 2 sides, within a few rounds, the group of ninjas were all solved by the ninjas with big swords. These ninjas are really weak. I was killed before I even got serious. It's really boring. On his shoulders, he sneered at the ninja he had just killed in front of him. And there were corpses lying on the ground under his feet. Looking at the various ninja costumes on these corpses, they were not uniform. There were Konoha, Union, and the ninjas of the 5 major ninja villages, but at this time the forehead guard worn on the forehead is no longer the logo of their own village, but a forehead guard with the character, ninja. At this time, a strong man in a cloak walked out from behind a big tree and walked to the pile of corpses. He looked at the corpses on the ground with a solemn expression, sighed softly, and said in a low voice, "Again. It's the ninjas of the 5 major countries, the 5th batch of teams we have met today. It seems that the war has reached a fever pitch, but I just don't know what the current situation is like." The ninja with the big sword on his shoulder also looked at the strong man and shouted at him, "Hey, what are you mumbling about?" The 2 did not shoot each other, apparently they knew each other. And when the strong man heard the shout, he looked away from the pile of corpses, looked at the ninja, and said with a chuckle, "It's nothing, Shueyu, how are you alright?" This ninja with a big sword is actually Shueyu, who was sent to the battlefield by Chen, and the strong man in the cloak is Chang'o. After hearing Chang'u's words, Shueyu snorted coldly and shouted at Chang'u in dissatisfaction, "Hey, are you doubting my strength? These ninjas are too weak, and they make me serious with their strength. I don't have the qualifications to get up, how could it hurt me?" Quote. In the face of Shueyu's dissatisfaction, Chang'o obviously didn't care, and said apologetically, "Hee, I didn't mean to underestimate you. I'm sorry." Shueyu pouted, waved her hand casually and said, forget it, I don't care anyway." Saying that, Shueyu walked out from the pile of corpses, and the 2 walked towards the depths of the woods together. The 2 walked side by side, and Shueyu suddenly put her hand on Chang'u's shoulder, and said with a strange smile, "Hey, Chang'u, what do you think the boss is doing now? They have left us here for a few days, and again don't give us orders, and I'd be suffocated if it wasn't for these passing ninjas to pass the time." Chang'u didn't care that Shueyu put his arm around his shoulder, shook his head, and said in a deep voice, "I don't know, I've been with you these past few days, and I haven't received any useful news, but Chen let us stand by, naturally he has plans." Quote. Shueyu felt bored by Chang'u's answer, let go of his hand, and said a little depressingly, "That's right, really, why would I ask you this? It seems that staying here these few days has made my head go crazy. Some can't turn." Shigego just smiled and didn't answer. At this time, a few birds suddenly flew in the sky, circling over Chang'o and Suzuki. After seeing these birds, Chongo stopped and raised an arm. The birds in the air also circled in the air for a few laps and then landed one after another, standing on Chongo's shoulders and arms, chirping, as if they were conveying information to Chongo. Chongo clearly understood the message the bird was trying to convey, and gently stroked the bird on his shoulder and arm with the other hand, as if to comfort the bird, and said with a naive smile, "Suoga, you all flew away. A lot of places, seeing a lot of people fighting, are you scared too?" Seeing the scene of the exchange between Changwu and Xiaonao, Shuiyu was obviously taken aback, and asked casually, "What's the matter, do you have any information?" Changwu didn't pay attention to Shuiyu, but was talking to the bird on his own. Suddenly, Changwu's original smile changed, and he said in a deep voice, "Have you found Sasuke?" Chirp tilde tilde chatter tilde tilde. After a few birds called to Zongwu a few times, they flapped their wings a few times and flew into the sky again, and then flew in one direction. Chapter 320, Arrogant Experimental Subjects. At this time, Shuiyu also noticed the change in Changwu's face. After these little birds flew into the sky, he asked Changwu, "Hey, Changwu, have your little animals found anything?" Shigego didn't rush to answer Shuiyu's question, but looked at the birds circling in the sky solemnly, seeing that they seemed to want to give him directions, and then turned to Shuiyu and said, "They seem to have discovered Sasuke, but not sure if that person is real or not. I want to follow up." Quote. Found Sasuke. Shuiyu was stunned for a moment, with a look of doubt, because the news was too sudden, so he didn't seem to have reacted. Changwu looked at Shuiyu and said in a deep voice, "I'm not sure yet, but after listening to the descriptions of these little guys, I guess it shouldn't be wrong. I want to confirm it." At this time, Shuiyu finally digested the news, frowned slightly, and looked at a few birds circling in the sky, but couldn't see why, and finally looked at Changwu beside him puzzled. "What do you mean? These little things of yours discovered Sasuke's whereabouts. Is this information reliable?" "Yes, don't underestimate them. These little animals are actually very smart. If you communicate with them with your heart, they will become your best friends. They fly a lot of places and can know a lot of things." Shigego looked at the bird circling over his head affectionately, then raised his right hand. A bird flapped its wings and landed on his finger, and lightly pecked at his finger, not afraid at all. "People," Shigego explained to Suzuki while teasing the bird in his hand, "I once passed on Sasuke's appearance and characteristics to them, and they had met a person before, who was very similar to the Sasuke in their impression, so I will come and let me know, whether it's true or not. I'm going to go." Shuiyu obviously didn't care as much about Sasuke's news as Shigego did. She shook her head and said, "The boss's order is to put us on standby. You must know that those people in the woods are not peaceful guys. Here, they are probably about to go crazy now. If we didn't suppress them, these guys would definitely mess around, and now there are wars everywhere. Before the boss comes back, we'd better not reveal the whereabouts." The guys in Shuiyu's mouth actually refer to the Yinren and the experimental subjects they brought out from Yinren village. These characters are extremely unstable people, whether it is Yinren who was originally loyal to Orochimaru or was detained by Orochimaru. Experimental body, but now the object of their fanatical belief has been replaced by Uchiha Chen. Because Chen is more powerful than the Orochimaru they were loyal to before, coupled with the deeds of Uchiha Chen, his name has already been circulated in the ninja world, and he is called the strongest ninja in the ninja world, which makes them even more keen. It was the power that Chen gave them. Of course, they didn't know the price they had to pay for possessing these powers, but just by virtue of this, it was no doubt that these sound ninjas and the released experimental subjects became Uchiha Chen's most ardent followers. Before Chen left, the instruction given to Shuiyu and the others was to hunt and kill freely, but try not to attract the attention of the Five Nations Ninja Federation. Although their strength should not be underestimated, the 5 major countries naturally have their own heritage, and the strong must not be little. Since the Shao organization is in front, there is no need to jump out so quickly to attract hatred. But these thousands of people gathered together, and the goal was too big. In the end, according to Shigego's advice, he chose to hide in this wood. With the thick woods as shelter, the possibility of exposure will be greatly reduced. But it's not easy to settle down these guys in Yinan village. Without exception, these people are very arrogant and conceited. Except for Uchiha Chen, who makes them madly worship, no one pays attention. It is precisely because of with the shock of Uchiha Chen, coupled with the strength of Shigego and Shueyu, they were barely suppressed. Moreover, letting their restless fellows hide in this wood is really suffocating them. Fortunately, there are wars everywhere these days, and a small group of ninjas pass by every day, which gives them some fun to relieve their boredom. The group of ninjas that Shueyu killed before were the ninjas of the 5 major countries who accidentally broke into this place. Thinking of those guys in the woods, even Shueyu, a heartless person, can't help but feel a little headache. It's fine to have you here alone, and I'll go there by myself. If you are alone, the goal is not very big, and you shouldn't encounter any trouble. Zhongwu still decides his own beliefs. In his psychology, he has always had a special bond with Sasuke. This bond originated from Junmalu. After all, Junmalu died for Sasuke. Junmalu once told Shizuo, Sasuke is like the reincarnation of Junmaro, so Shigego transferred his bond with Junmaro to Sasuke. Although Chango has always obeyed Chen's dispatch, in fact, the person he followed is actually Sasuke. In Chango's heart, Sasuke's weight is far more than Chen, and he has to follow Sasuke no matter what. Seeing that Changwu's decision has been made, Shueyu did not persuade him anymore, and said helplessly, forget it, since you have already made up your mind, do whatever you want. Shigego smiled and said, don't worry, as long as we find Sasuke, we'll be back. Got it, let's go. Shueyu waved her hand, looking a little impatient. Facing Shueyu's impatience, I just smiled warmly and didn't care about Shueyu's attitude. As a member of the Eagle Squad, the two have been together for a long time, and they both know each other well. Chango also knows Shueyu's character. He belongs to the kind of person who is cold-faced and warm-hearted. Although he usually looks like a fool, as long as he encounters serious business, he will become a very reliable companion. It can be seen in the original work that when the Eagle Squad captured Rabbi Yatai, because of Sasuke Uchiha's arrogance and seriously underestimated the strength of Rabbi, he was brutally abused by Rabbi, causing the entire Eagle Squad to be in danger, and Shueyu, who was still fighting at the time, did not choose to escape alone, but in order to cover the departure of his teammates, he fought alone against Kurabi, who had been transformed into a beast, although in the end was tragic, and he was directly beaten into a lump of jelly by Kurabi's violent tail beast cannon. Changwu himself is not a talkative person. With a flick of his hand, the bird that originally landed on his finger flapped its wings and flew into the air again. After a few circles above Changwu's head, it would join a few other birds. Fly in one direction. After nodding to Shueyu, Chango jumped on the branch of a big tree, and chased in the direction where the bird left, and disappeared into the woods after a few ups and downs. Shueyu, who stayed in the same place, looked at the direction in which Changwu left, frowned, and said in a low voice, this fellow Changwu still cares about Sasuke so much. Shaking his head, Shueyu didn't think about it anymore. He hung the beheading knife on his back again, turned and walked towards the depths of the jungle, where there were still a group of tough guys that he needed to watch. It didn't take long for Shueyu to return to the place where their large army was staying, only to see that a place deep in the woods was full of people, sitting or lying lazily, or leaning against a big tree next to each other. These people, without exception, are filled with this very uncomfortable evil atmosphere, which makes people involuntarily feel a sense of fear and inexplicable disgust, and their faces show arrogance, disdain, and madness, as if every minute just do things normally. Looking at the scene in front of him, Shueyu couldn't help frowning again, looking at the people who were brought out by him and Chango from Yinan village. With a look of disgust, he said to them indifferently, hey, you guys can't be alert. There may be enemies coming here at any time. At this time, those Yinren also discovered Shueyu. After hearing Shueyu's words, they all froze for a while, and then they all burst into laughter. One of the test subjects, a strong man with orange hair, sneered with disdain and said, Haha tilde the enemy. Just those ninjas from the 5 big countries who are soft and sloppy. We have killed a lot in the past few days. After listening to this sentence, Shueyu said with a sneer, "Hey, the team I met before was just a small team. Do you think the people in the 5 major ninja villages are all idiots? Their perception ninjas are not dry rice. The disappearance of so many people will definitely attract their attention, and they will send large troops over at any time." Quote. The experimental subject was not frightened, but even more unscrupulous. He shouted with a grinning smile, "He tilde that's the best. I'm already tired of staying in this crappy place. No matter how many people he comes, Lao Su now I can't wait to make a big splash." Quote. The rest of the experimental subjects also laughed in agreement, as if they didn't care about the ninja alliance of the 5 great nations at all, and didn't care about their situation. Seeing this picture, Shueyu also felt a little annoyed, and said coldly to the orange-haired experimental subject, "Idiot." What? The orange-haired experimental body immediately quit. They were originally a group of unscrupulous people. Since they were released, they have never put anyone else in their eyes except Chen, even if it is Shueyu who is beside Chen. They would listen to Shueyu and Changwu's dispatch before, and lurking here, it was entirely based on Chen's orders. They have long refused to accept Shueyu and Changwu. In addition, they have been staying here for the past few days, which has made them feel irritated. And now hearing Shueyu's insulting remarks, it was undoubtedly like igniting a dynamite barrel, and it exploded directly. I saw that the experimental subject's original grinning expression instantly turned into anger, and after a roar, strange marks began to appear on his face, and his body began to mutate. 2 horns grew out of the department, and even bone spurs grew on his body. This experimental body actually entered the state of curse and seal under the trend of anger, and his strength suddenly burst out, and he seemed to have smashed the water. The moon became the target of the attack, and after being completely cursed, it roared towards Shueyu.